Welcome on a wonderful Wednesday night, Spurs Lounge. I am your host, Mahri, aka Same Old Levy Tactics. Name of this episode is Same Old Levy, Mr. Spurs, Mr. Daniel Levy. Um, but before I go into my rant, and we got some guests who are going to be coming in. Um, Let me give a couple of big ups. Big up to Mark Swift. Thank you. Guys, please hit the like, hit the sub, and please sub to Tottenham Away 2, which is going to be renamed to World Football Media. Starting tomorrow, there's going to be some shows. Football Away. We are going to talk about what's going up with this whole onslaught of buying players. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on with various clubs, Tottenham, Arsenal, Newcastle. Like they're going to get Tonali, and so we're going to be talking about what is going on in the transfer market window and what's going on with Saudi Arabia. Football Away is going to be a very good show that you guys are going to enjoy. And on that channel, there's going to be some very interesting content on that channel. Look at football on a global aspect. But I want to give a big up to Brother Ash, who's in the house. Big up. How you feel, man?
I'm good, my bro. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing good.
How's the weather down there, man? How you looking?
It is humid. It is hot and humid. Um, if you convert it to Celsius, it was 92 degrees at one point.
Okay.
92. Yeah,
Hot.
hot. Yeah, it's hot. Jump in the pool, hot. In Florida, you guys are going through a heat wave, right? A little bit of a heat wave.
Yeah, we are, man. We're having a good summer right now. Don't know how long it's gonna last, but yeah, we enjoy it right now. People complaining, not me. I'm happy.
Oh yeah, man. No, we're happy about that. Before we start, just going to give a big up, Mark Swift. Just a big up, and once again, guys, you want to sub to Tottenham Away 2, which is going to be World Football Media. So you want to click onto that. Big up to Richie. Says good evening all. Big up to Ron. My name is Jeff. Yep, big supporter of the channel. So just a big up to Catalan 094. Vicario, what a signing. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because I know very little about him. I don't know what you know about him, Ash, but I know you do your research. Sander Melligan is up. Big up, a big, huge big up. LA 007, evening, guys. Hope we are keeping well as always. Yep, no, definitely. Oh, Big Tony in the house says big up, Mari. Big up, big supporter. Um, yeah, man, it's just big up. Vicario is top 3 goalie. Yeah, I've been looking, and like I said, I didn't catch Empoli game this year, so that's why my knowledge is very low. As much as Napoli I've watched, I did not catch Empoli. Mark Cousins was also in the house. Big up, big up. Wolves up also in about Levy in the mud. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. They even give me a big up to Ash. Big up, big up. Simon, big up. He's also in the house. And Zafer, who's also in the house. So where do I start? I'm gonna start off with this, and people are gonna come in. I'm even gonna post the link tonight. It's gonna be interesting. If anybody wants to jump on, I will post the link. I put, why are we upset? Same old Levy, same old Levy. Um, Yesterday on Twitter, on YouTube, people are pretty much panicking because what Polo Keith's put out and pretty much some other people put out and said, Rhea, the Rhea deal is going to not fall through. They're going to pull out of the deal. And already started mentioning some alternative names. And people were upset on Twitter. And for me, I'm like, why are people upset? Why are people upset? Like, literally, I've said this on other people's streams, and I've said this on my show. Said before, I have no expectations. I have no expectations. Am I happy with Big Ange coming in? Yeah, I'm happy. I will back him. But this club is so unpredictable that I have no expectations. Right? You would get, what are your predictions going to the new season? I can't really tell, other than maybe 8th, 9th, 10th. It's okay. And if I see a type of football that is offensive or progressive football, okay, I'm happy with it. Now, in regards to the summer transfer window, mind you, we don't have a director of football, Ash. But even if we did, I haven't been supported for the 23 years on the Levy. I've come in 07, 07, 08. So I am, how old? Maybe 16 years, if I'm doing my math right. We'll do it correctly. Maybe 16 years. In the 16 years, I've seen this over and over again. The Willens, the Grealish, the Suarez at one time. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it. So the whole Raya thing does not upset me. Why? Because as long as Daniel Levy and the board is there, I expect this. That's the only expectation. I expect this. I expect. No. 5 million is just too much for a proven Premier League goalie. A goalie that could play Big Ange system. A goalie that everybody knows and is about to go into their prime. I knew this was going to happen. I just know it because it is what it is. So that's why I don't get disappointed. And even with we're gonna go after Messi. He wants to come to London. Oh, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get that. I am not heartbroken. I am not heartbroken because I expect this. I expect this. It has not changed. It's same old Levy. I was watching another channel just an hour ago. They were saying, "Oh, people are panicking, trying to sap out the positivity, and then of course they're going after Levy and stuff." And I'm saying, just because we hired a project manager, we didn't hire a win now manager, right? We hired Big Ange. Doesn't mean the methods, the tactics that Daniel Levy does has magically changed. A leopard can't change his spots. It's the same Daniel Levy. I don't know what, because we hired Big Ange, Daniel Levy magically became not a narcissist, not an egotistic person. He magically became a genius in football. No, Daniel Levy is still there. He still runs the show. That's why I'm not upset. I'm not upset about the Raya thing, right? This new keeper, apparently we signed a deal we're going to talk about, he could turn out to be great. I mean, I have no feelings towards it. I'm immune to it. I'm not even disappointed anymore. I know my club. It's Daniel Levy's club. So that's why I'm not even upset anymore. I'm not even upset. I'm upset of other people being upset. Shame on you. It's Daniel Levy. He did not magically change just because he put Coy's Daniel. He didn't change. It's the same dude. It's the same guy who's in charge. That's why I'm like, why are we upset? It's the same Daniel Levy. We should expect this. Am I wrong, Brother Ash?
I think Daniel Levy's quite enjoying this time at the moment. He loves a transfer deal. He loves to get his hands dirty because I was tricked. I was fooled, when Paratici came in and, he said, we're going to leave the footballing decisions to the football people. When we had Conte, I thought, yep, this guy is a no-nonsense man. He's not going to have it. But once again, with the exception of us actually purchasing someone early, in the fact that we got Perisic over the line quick and we got Forster over the line quick, and then no one saw that Bissouma deal coming. After, I'd say, probably like the Richarlison deal, it kind of stagnated and slowed down and kind of started to move slow. And it's a pattern. It doesn't matter if you get a director of football in, who's in charge. It's always the same tactics, as you said before. It's always long and delayed and haggling over 5 or 6 million, trying to get the best deal. And that's the reason why things in the past haven't worked out. When Poch said that he wanted a pre-season with his new players, it was important to get those players done early. It didn't happen for him. He didn't get those players in pre-season. He had to wait till after the pre-season, towards the end of the window, to get the players that he wanted in. And so I think fans have maybe a little bit of hope. I think maybe that's the reason why they got a bit upset, because they saw a new coach come in. It was off the back end of a poor season, the first time we finished outside of Europe for 13 seasons. So they thought maybe Daniel Levy would panic and react after the bad publicity he's had over the last few games, with the Levy out balloons protests happening in the stadium, and his wife touching his leg, saying it'll be all right, Daniel. As you said already, Daniel Coys, but as a Spurs fan, you have to protect yourself. So I'm the same, my broski. I protected myself. I was like, there's no way I'm getting sucked in and I'm gonna fall for this, because even when I make content and our top target, let's not beat around the bush. Obviously, we need a goalkeeper, we need centre backs, but we all know who our top target is, Madison. And when I made content, I always said alternatives, because I wasn't getting sucked in to that Madison train, and I still am not, because guess what? That one's going to get drawn out. They want 60 million, and we just know Tottenham aren't paying 60 million. Same with this David Raya situation. They want 40 million. We are not going to pay 40 million. I just honestly think it's a tactic, because I know that Paul O'Keefe's not a journalist. He's like a ITK, but a quite reliable one that people get their information from. But because the information didn't come just from him, it also came from Romano, and I forget the other journalist that reported it as well. When you see 2 or 3 people kind of reporting on it, then the rumors seem to be, there needs to be some type of weight behind it. So I think there's some truth to it. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. So yeah. Anyway, the other targets that we're obviously interested in, one of them is supposedly the Italian keeper of the year. He's top 6, or some people say top 3 rated. I say top 6 because when I did look into him, he was like one of the top 6 performing goalkeepers in terms of like shots saved. Yeah, in terms of shots saved, he was like one of the top 6 keepers in performing in terms of like saving goals. But when I looked at him, me personally, when I looked at him as a goalkeeper, he's a bit small for me. He's a bit short, so it kind of gave me that kind of Pickford vibes. I'm not exactly sure how tall he is, But in terms of like crosses in the box, I would prefer a keeper that's slightly more commanding. Yeah, there we go, Vicario. I prefer a keeper that's slightly more commanding in the box, someone that can come and collect, because we have conceded quite a few goals from set pieces or corners, and I think that's something that needs to be addressed. So I prefer a keeper that's commanding in the box. I've compared him to Raya, and I think the only thing I'd say he's got on Raya is short to medium passes, slightly better. So I know Big Ange likes to play out from the back. He likes his keepers to kind of keep the ball ticking over, almost play as a centre back in between the other two, so he comes out a bit. But David Raya, he's more of a sweeper keeper in terms of like launch balls. So when the ball's in his hand, he can actually deliver a ball a bit better. In terms of actual goal kicks, he can deliver it better as well. And yeah, sweeper keeper, as I said before, he's much better than this guy. But this guy's not bad, because obviously he's got some weight. It's not like we're going for like a terrible alternative, but obviously David Raya's got the experience of the Premier League. He's got the homegrown quota. He was the top keeper in the Premier League in terms of saves. He's got 77% save percentage, the best in the league. Knows the league well, wants to come, more importantly. So that's a big thing. Like, you got a player that wants to come. And Spurs are willing to pay 20 to 25 million, but, you know, Brentford want 40 million. And we've got a situation where clubs want to come in for him. Well, we're saying Kane's worth 100 million, but, you know, when it comes to buying our keeper, which is one of our top priorities, we're not willing to pay the 40 million. So we're being a bit hypocritical in that sense. But yeah, me personally, I just prefer to get the goalkeeper situation sorted out before we go on a pre-season, which is like less than 10 days. So I prefer to have someone in that gets to know Ange, or gets to know his tactics, how he wants to play, the philosophy, the ideas, get to know his teammates, etc., etc. So that's the way I personally think about it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that this guy won't pan out, because I'm looking at some quotes even from Gigi Buffon that this kid has a lot of potential. He's about to go into his prime. It's just the tactics of Daniel Levy of going about things is I'm used to it. I'm used to it to the point that I'm not even upset. It's the point that I've accepted this. I know some bloke posted a big up to some bloke. He says, "Why are we upset?" I'm not, and that's what I've been saying to people yesterday and today. I'm not upset. I'm not being fooled. For me, I expect nothing. But basically, whoever we get, we get. I'm not going to be emotional. This club has sapped the energy of me, and I know the writing on the wall. I know what it is. Daniel Levy is in charge of this summer transfer window, director of football or not. He is in charge, so I know all the tricks, all his methods, all his games. So I'm not surprised. This is Plan B, or maybe it's Plan B to go to Plan C. I'm used to it. I'm just used to it. I refuse to be suckered. You know, people. Oh yeah, James Madison, we're gonna get a bid, and some other people. And Mark Gay from Crystal Palace, and such. I'm not getting my hopes up. Whatever happens, happens with Daniel Levy, and it is what it is.
And just to add to that as well, Paul O'Keefe actually backtracked, and he was like, he's not saying that we've completely pulled out the race for David Raya. It's just that we're looking at our options as well as David Raya. So it's still on the table, but obviously we've agreed in principle. We've had the personal terms agreed or something like that with this Vicario guy. But I think the same is to be said with David Raya as well. I think maybe personal terms are being agreed as well, but in terms of an actual fee between the clubs, that's where the stumbling blocks happens, and that's the common theme that we're used to as Spurs fans. We always hear like, the player wants to come, the player wants to join, but when it comes to actually stumping up the cash and doing it quickly so we can move on to other targets and focus on to other players, which we need to reinforce, this is where we waste time and we drag our heels. And I think that's the most frustrating thing as a Spurs fan myself. We saw what happened last time with Porro. We knew we wanted him from the World Cup, from before the World Cup. We knew we wanted a right wing back. We needed one, and then it come to January the 1st. How many games we played, dragging our heels all the way to the last day of the window to actually do Porro, to actually get out and pay the actual asking price. It was I know we took him on loan for the first year, but we more or less paid the fee that Sporting Lisbon wanted in the end. After all of that, you might as well have just paid, because then the 4 games he missed, the first game he took was Leicester, and he needed time to kind of settle in, and then he had to play alongside Tanganga. Do you know what I mean? And Sanchez. So if he had a few more games to bed in before, a bit earlier, who knows? Like, we could have had better results, scored more goals, etc., won more games. But basically, he would have been more up to speed with the Premier League, and we could have had him for Arsenal, just for argument's sake. But it's just the style of Levy. He likes to. That's his style. That's what he does. He likes to do a deal, walk away from it, make sure it's cold, like everyone thinks it's done, it's over, and then he tries to come back in to see if the team buckles down. That's his style of haggling. That's what he does.
He rescued the Pearl deal.
No,
He
that's the style.
rescued.
That's the style.
He rescued the Pearl deal. Big up to James Joyce. He's saying exactly what I've been saying. Big up, boys, in the chat. I tried to take any transfer news seriously. You can't. You just can't.
I'll get upset.
I'm going put my counseling hat on. People were watching. You can't get upset. You can't take these seriously. Levy is in charge, so you can't get your hopes up. You can't get disappointed. You just have to have a happy medium and take it for what it is. It is what it is. I'm not surprised anymore. I'm with Sonny right here. I have no expectations this year. I said this on Sava's stream. I had no expectations. Zero. Just zero. I'm just going to watch the games and just analyze and just judge it for what it is. I have zero expectations. Big up. The fees apparently 17.5. I saw 20. It's just, Paratici is still working on the season. I know, Italian keeper, and so on. So it's just, and then we know the other need that we have, and like I said, Daniel Levy's in charge, is the center backs. Daniel Levy, the genius that he is, because he used to be a scout, he used to be a player. He's looking at center backs who can complement Romero. What do you know about this guy? And I'll pull him up the stream. Tapsoba, he is the new ice cream flavor of the day. I've seen him play a couple of times. Solid, but like I said, I have zero expectations. But we can talk about that we pair with Romero. Do you know much about Tapsoba?
Yeah, so I did a video on him 3 weeks ago. Basically, Bayer Leverkusen centre back can play in the back 3 or back 2. Predominantly plays on the left side. Right-footed. He's 6'3.5". He's 24 years old. He's got Champions League experience and obviously Bundesliga experience. Played alongside Hekapi and Jonathan Tah. When he played on the left side, they pushed Hekapi onto the left wing back because obviously Hekapi wants to get forward a lot more, so that kind of suited him a lot more, a bit more rash, a bit more like a Romero. So Tapsoba was there to clean up. Sometimes played on the left, sometimes played on the right. But predominantly, the style of defender that I'm seeing us keep getting linked with is a defender that likes to, at times, bring it out from the back via carrying the ball into space, and they're quite good under pressure. So if a player tries to like break them down or tackle them, they're actually press resistant. So that's something I've noticed about Tapsoba on the ball. Very good at 1v1 dribbles, but extremely good in carrying the ball. I'll compare them to the likes of players that we have been linked with, such as a Paul Torres, who's probably going to go to Aston Villa. I've compared him to Laporte as well. That's at Man City, who we probably won't get, but we've been linked with nonetheless. Mark Guay, obviously, I compared him with him, and then Dika that we missed out on. Now, what I'll say is, and Max Kilman as well. What I'd say is, between those defenders, I'll talk about his weaknesses first. I'd say that he's not the strongest in the air. He's not the best header of the ball, but he's not shabby. He's not whack. So it's just that the other players are slightly better in the air than him. That's what it is. So he's just over 50% of those aerial duels he will win, which is it's not too bad. I'm talking about in measuring him against the top elite defenders in Europe. He's done okay. But basically his strength is ground duels. That's where he wins his bread and butter. So all those people that really wanted a defender to defend after seeing the likes of Eric Dyer not, challenging for a ball or not, this guy is one of the best defenders when it comes to tackling and intercepting balls on the ground. So that's where he wins most of his duels. That's where he gets most of his plaudits. When it comes to short passes as well, very good at short passing. And again, that's important to Ange's system. Out of all of them, I think he might be second behind Pau Torres. Pau Torres is really good technically, but this guy is not too far behind him. And then all the other metrics, he's either second or third. Medium passes, long passes, he can do it. But I'd say, in terms of carrying the ball, that's where you will see him the most. But everyone worries about, Romero. Will he be able to complement him? He's a lot more assured, a lot more calmer. Doesn't dive in as much than like a Romero would. So I say in that sense, he could work. And I think if one of them goes, I think one will sit. So it's not like both of them will push up at the same time. It's almost like common sense. Like one will sit and one will press on. And he's really tall, really fast. He's made the most ball recoveries out of all of them. He's faster than Mark. He's faster than Pau Torres. He's faster than Laporte. So in terms if we lose the possession on the counter attack, because we're playing high pressing football, he's going to be able to recover a lot of that possession. That's actually one of his strengths, his speed. So you've got a 6'3", agile, athletic, strong defender that likes to intercept, likes to tackle, can bring the ball out from the back, left-sided centre-back. That's what you've got right there. I even compared him to Roger Ibanez that we're linked with as well. But disciplinary, I think, Tapsoba's better. But in terms of winning the ball higher up, Ibanez actually beats most players. You'll be surprised how well Ibanez is in terms of actually tackling and intercepting. Even though people think he's a reject from Roma because they've got Ndika. I actually looked into it, but yeah, that's basically it, bro.
No, he's. I've seen him with Roma, and I'm impressed with Ibanez. I think he would be very, very good. On our club. I'm trying to pull up because I brought it up in the past. It's very interesting in regards to Romero and the type of partner that he had, and trying to pull it up. It was I want to say it was okay. Here we go, and may have everybody understand this. So don't laugh here, but this is what I have up. Move the banner right here. Right? Center backing defensive styles. Dogs versus cats, right? So this will be the perfect partner for. This was when we just got Romero. Partner for Romero. And Paul Torres, when you mentioned him, I was like, oh, right. So I read this, right? Dogs versus cats. Some center backs see the ball and frequently step out to chase or press it. They're less likely to step away from play and be conservative. We know Romero's not conservative. This behavior mirrors of a dog, and that is commando Romero type of a center back. Their partner, some center backs see the ball and are more likely to step back and away, often sweeping up behind their aggressive teammate instead. These players act more like a cat. That's Pau Torres and Rafael Varane. And so I saw this, and and I was going to bring it up again. Who is the top partner would be perfect for Romero? And so since we're talking about center backs that we're looking at, you know, we're looking for a cat. People will watch the stream. People are listening or not seeing the screen. When you get home, watch the chart that I put up. But this is a very good chart. Very easy to explain of what type of partnership Romero needs in Big Ange system next year. Your thoughts on this chart?
I think it's an interesting one because I honestly think we're looking at other centre backs in that position where Romero is playing as well. So I think that might have a part to play in it. So if we get a defender in, let's say, a Victor Nelson, he's more of a cat. Do you know what I mean? He's less front-footed. I would say he's less of a dog than Romero is, and he plays on the right-hand side. So if we were to get cover, especially if Sanchez leaves, we're going to need cover for Romero in the back four.
Yeah.
So that's assuming we were to get him, but it could work both ways. Where the right centre back, Big Ange might choose someone that's a bit more sits back a bit more, and then that's funny, and then
Probably would.
and then you might have more front-footed left-sided centre back. But no, I agree with you. I think that's most of the fan base do want a partnership, and that's the reason why they wanted like a Laporte, because Laporte is more of a cat type of player, where he kind of sits back. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video on that guy. I mentioned him a few times. Arthur Fitz, he's good, but I think Arthur is less of a cat than well, yeah, he's more of a dog for me, Arthur. But yeah, back to my point. I just feel like with the play that we're talking about in Tapsoba, I feel like he doesn't dive in as much and can like sweep up because he has that pace. Also has the ability on the ball, but off the ball can also can clean up. So and Ange would have looked at that. I think Ange he will know what type of player he's looking for. He will know like what partnerships he wants. I know that, like you just said, the cat and dog, one that sits back a bit more, one that kind of goes forward. I think it was Victor Carter Vickers that sat back more in that Celtic back line, where he was the one to sit back a bit more and the other centre back pushed on. So I think that's a partnership that Ange will want, and that will be the instruction for the centre back, that whoever comes in.
Yeah. Big up Matthew Ball. He brings up a good point, fair point. If us Spurs fans aren't upset or angry, there is no change. Change is never definite, but we need to keep pressuring the board. I get you. I get you, Matthew. But it's just it's tough because emotionally you're closed off. You expect like it's been good comparison. You're being told, all right, you're going to McDonald's, right? Ash, you've been great. You got straight A's on your report card. I'm taking the McDonald's, and you get the Happy Meal. Then you pull up to Burger King, nothing against Burger King, or White Castle, and you don't get McDonald's. And this for 16 years of Enoch and Levy, that's what I feel for the most part, right? Oh yeah, we could go to McDonald's, we can go get that Big Mac, and then when time comes, right? We tricked you. We took you to Burger King. We take you to White Castle. You know, are there White Castles in England?
No, but I was gonna say, you know, when Eddie Murphy Delirious, when the mum says, "Yo, Eddie, we're gonna give you a nice McDonald's burger," and he's like, "Yeah, I want that McDonald's burger." I said, "Mommy can make McDonald's burger. Mommy can make McDonald's burger. Oh my days, mommy can make McDonald's burger." Then mum makes the burger, like you know what I'm saying. I think that's
Yeah,
equivalent. We're getting the homemade burger rather than the Happy Meal. Do you know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? I think that's like what we're getting. We're not getting
Yeah.
the
And
steak, the
and so
premium beef.
and for me, you know, yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, no, I, I get that. You know, I'm staunch Levy out, but man, I'm just tired. I'm just tired.
I agree with Matthew though. I think you have to
I
keep the
agree with
pressure
Matthew.
on.
I know. I'm just tired and checked out. That's why I yesterday as people panic stuff because I know Daniel Levy. I know this board. I know my club. I know it. I can never get excited, and I know you know he defrauded the whole Spurs community. He did say one good thing, Bob Spur, till they hold the shirt. Basically, I'm on that point of until they hold the shirt, until the ink dries, I'm not getting excited about any player. I'm not, look what we did with the Badgers. We're excited about Nagelsmann. We didn't get him. Maybe for good reason, because PSG rejected him. There's something wrong with Nagelsmann, apparently. You know, say what you want about the what's the other guy? Slot. You know, so I'm 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 immune to it. I'm like literally immune to disappointment. So for me, like the whole James Madison thing, like I don't want to talk much about James Madison in our midfield because if I'm a betting man, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. As much as he wants to live in London, right? I'm saying it's not going to happen in the hopes if it does happen, I want to be wrong. I want to
Yeah,
be wrong.
we
But
all
I
do.
know
We all
this
do.
club, and I know this club very well. We are looking for a discount deal. We're looking for, and you know what? That young phenom, Scott, I would love for him to come in. I just think we're so incompetent, and that's why the other show I was listening to, right? They were kind of agree with me why people are packing, but they were saying, you know, basically almost inclined to trust Levy and the board. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not upset because of Levy and the board. I know they're incompetent. Just because we hired Big Ange, and I'm gonna back him, and I'm excited about him because he's new. That doesn't mean Levy and the board has magically disappeared. It's still same old Spurs when it comes to transfers, when it comes to doing business. You got clubs that don't like us, you have agents that don't like us. I mean, it is Daniel Levy has not changed. He has not changed because we had one of our worst seasons that I could remember.
Maury, I think it's important to keep the pressure on the board, though. I think that's what he was trying to get at.
Yeah,
Like,
no, no,
no one has expectations. Of course not. Because obviously you'll just get doo doo in your face. You know what I mean? No one wants to eat doo doo. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But for me, I think keeping the pressure on the boards, making sure they're in place, making sure they know that we're still not happy and we demand more, that's gonna at least ask a question and make them kind of like stay on their toes. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not expecting them to, all of a sudden, get those deals done. But yeah, man, it's just it's I think you can't stay quiet with this board. You gotta keep them on their toes, in my opinion. You gotta keep pushing. Never let them off the hook. It's still Levy out. Still put the pressure on them. Because this can't go on. This style of transfer business, what we do, we're meant to be. we're meant to be a top six club, but we behave like we're a bottom half club. The way we move compared to the other clubs, they look serious. And when they go for their targets, they're going after their targets. They're not haggling. They might put a bid in, and then they put another bid in, and then they never bid in, and then before you know it, it's done.
Tonali going to Newcastle. It looks like I'm like, dang, that's
Yeah, I see that.
serious. That's serious business. Kovacic is going to Man City, man. I know it's Man City, but it happens so quick. Like it's like,
Yeah.
yo, this is who we want. We're gonna get him. Even Kai Havertz, you know what, Kai Havertz may ball under Arteta.
Yeah, who
Like,
knows? Who
Arsenal
knows?
knows. But I was like, Dad, they picked that much. Like they're like, that's my
I just
dog.
didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
I didn't see it coming. That kind of
yeah.
popped out of nowhere.
I did
Yeah.
not see that coming. And I know they are rivals, but kudos to Arsenal. I know they still want Declan Rice, but get Kai Havertz, he may just do better with Chelsea.
I
He
think the
might just
point
do
is,
better. And
I think the point is that they're showing intent. It's not like they're just talking interested or monitoring or we're looking at
FC,
or do you know what I'm trying to say? It's just bang.
yeah,
It's just bang. It's just bang. And that's what we need to see as fans. Then we know like, oh, our club's serious. Why don't we behave like one of the big clubs? We've got the money to compete, but we just don't behave like we are one of those big clubs. We just scrimp and we take long to do our business. And
I'm
like I
telling
said before, it would be better if we had our players in before, when the preseason happens, they can all go to Australia, get to know the coach, get
you.
to know the
Exactly.
philosophy, get to know their teammates. Simple as that, they get bedded in properly rather than the last window, the last day. I do love a last day deadline transfer, by the way. I'm not going to lie to you. But I would prefer to get my business, the bulk of it anyway, done early and not just hang around on one player where we can get other business done.
Yeah, yeah. Let me go back. I had this on the slide to the first comment. Graham Souness, who's now retired, and for me, I've always liked his opinions about Spurs. Not all of them, but for the most part, he's bang on because he has openly said it time and time again. He's a Spurs supporter. He's always been a Spurs supporter. This is Simon Jordan, who I have the biggest beef with. He goes, you can't win. You can't win one cup in 22 years, which I agree. It's unacceptable for a club like Tottenham. Simon Jordan goes, you can't blame it all on Levy. And Graham Souness says the issue starts and finish with him. Souness and Jordan lock horns on over who to blame. Uh, it's I named the show same old Levy. He's been the only constant that's within the club. Players and managers have come and go. Directors of football have come and go, but Levy and the board remain. What do you think about this? Did you hear this exchange on Talksport? It was on Talksport.
Was this recently? I thought this was a while back. Is he said it again?
So, yeah, it was again. It was 2 days
Whoa. Oh, wow. I missed this one. I don't know how I missed this. Normally I
ago.
see these
Yeah,
guys. Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah. Because he said it
fresh.
before, It's not the first time he said that. And
Yeah,
Simon Jordan's like, I'm not a defender of Levy, but, you just can't, everyone's just one-track minded. The fans are one-track minded. But, no, it just starts from the top, doesn't it? It starts from the top. And we've had the longest running board/chairman in the league. And like he said, we delivered one trophy. Why is that? Why are we not showing more intent? Why are we not showing more ambition? Why are we not more aggressive when it comes to our targets? I'm not saying like spend, what the other clubs are spending, like in terms of like 150 million or buy a 100 million player. But if your number one target is David Raya, then just make it known. Just go for him. Go for that target and just get it done, and then move on to the next one and execute it. And it's happened time and time again. It doesn't matter what director of football comes in, it's always the same thing. So like you always have hope, we've got a new director of football, things going to change. But for some reason, you're like, bro, why is business not getting done? What's going on here? It's the same thing. And we wonder why there's no success on the pitch. And then all the other clubs acting quick. You look at Chelsea, look how much players they're selling right now, we're getting rid of. They're just getting rid of, they got rid of Havertz for what, 65 million. We're struggling to get rid of players. Do you know what I mean? We can't get rid of a soul. The best we can do is the best thing for us for signings is we can renegotiate deals for our academy players. That's the best thing. We re-sign players. We don't get rid of players. We don't sell players. So it might have to be a thing where we need to be a bit more brave and just rip up those contracts like they said they were going to do, because that's the only way we can, you know, start to cut down a bloated squad that we have already. But yeah, in terms of us, we just, I look at the other teams and they just move a lot faster, a lot sharper than us. Like they just know they have a plan, to be fair. I don't
Yeah.
think Spurs have a plan, if I'm being honest. It's
No.
like they got Scott Munn in. Scott Munn got his mate, obviously from Australia. Not disrespecting Scott Post, because I'm a fan of Ange and what he represents, and I like the style he what he's trying to do. But I just feel like there wasn't like a long-term plan or strategy in place where they were like, yeah, we're gonna go for Ange. Otherwise, we would have gone for Ange straight away. It would have been no Nagelsmann talk. It would have been no. Do you know what I mean? I know he was in a job already, but it could have been muted. You know that we would have had no talks about Nagelsmann, so there would have been no uproar. If that makes sense, it would have just been quiet, and then when the time was right, boom, they come out and it's done. But the fact that we got Nagelsmann drama, slot drama, we were openly, and they tried to deny it, like, oh, well, we weren't in for him ever. It just seems like there was no plan before that. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's all PR deception. This club does it well. Like this club does it well. It's the reason why our fans they don't revolt, they don't protest, they accept this because he is the Pied Piper. He knows how to pull the strings. You look at whenever there's a bad news, either it's in the game or something. You look at Spurs of the official Spurs Twitter page or Instagram page, and they put something out to either deflect or to something to put, you know, a shiny outcast around the club. And this club has been doing that for all of the 23 years, which is a perfect segue to big up to a user with the super chat. Thank you. It says, have to say nothing will change because the majority of the fans don't want change. Put Donna Cullen in goal as she vetoes everything. Next season is next season is dead. Um, yeah. I like it's you know if I'm over there overseas, I'm coming to the protest. I mean, big up. I'm protesting. It's Enoch, Levy, the board, Tavistock. Tavistock is here in Orlando. Whenever I drive by, I just give that dirty look. You know, I mean that's what I can do. But it's just, you look at the reports, right? Right, third on the list on Forbes, right? And and those who a user says some of the fans, right? Even today, yesterday, some of the fans are like, "Well, 40 million is not enough. It's too much." Yes, they're on most of Orlando, Tavistock. Mr. M, I've been preaching it. I've been preaching it, right? People talk about the Qataris, the Saudis. I'm about to go on a rant. Uh, they talk about all this oil money, state-backed clubs. I get that. I get that. But that doesn't mean, first of all, 18 of the 20 of the owners of the Premier League were billionaires. Tavistock is a real estate magnet boom. They were successful during COVID. I try to tell people this. And money is not a problem. The problem is Daniel Levy being in charge of the football operations, right? Because I always like to compare them with Liverpool, right? Liverpool has their fans, right? Well, John Henry can complain because he took a hit, right? He took a hit, had to make sacrifices with his baseball club, the Boston Red Sox, and sell their superstar to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like they had to take a hit during COVID, right? So I can understand Liverpool being frugal, but they still got McAllister, right? Football people, right? They were still able to get Darwin Nunez, right? Football people, right? If you convince me, all right, let Spurs pay within itself, right? If you're not going to put an influx, which supposedly last season there was 150 million of influx, right, to pay for players that we already technically signed, okay, right? But let's just say if you want Spurs to pay within itself, right? Number one, I've always questioned: have the club paid for itself in fidelity? And number two, are there football people because right? Oh, we've spent money unwisely. Why? Because we don't have football people, right? Daniel Levy is an accountant. He has never scouted. He has never played the game, right? Who is advising him? Is there a Glenn Hoddle? Is there a Berbatov? Is there, someone with a football mind who can have some influence? And from everybody who has done interviews with come, it's been no. It's been no. And so Levy is to blame. It goes back to him, and now that he has full control, I would say Paratici had somewhat some control of the transfer window, but the final say always goes to Levy. Now that he's gone, Daniel Levy is his show, and that's why I put. Why are we upset? I expect this. Daniel Levy is in charge of the transfer window. He is the only person who's going to report to himself. And so, all these signs, all these tactics, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm not disappointed because I know this is going to happen. And whoever we have, by the time it's August 9th, when the season starts, it is what it is. I'm telling you, it wouldn't even surprise me if Forster is our starting keeper that first game of the year because I expect nothing. I refuse to get any hopes up in regards to this window because Daniel Levy is in charge. This is the same movie. It is the same movie.
Also, as well, like we've got a hard run in at the start of the season. We've got away games which we're not normally good at. Looking at last season, and I'm thinking we go to Brentford away, who we lost against last season, and then we got Man United next, a massive game, and it's going to be hard for the new manager, isn't it? Like he's starting off almost on a back foot. I'd be interesting. What do you think? Do you think that Ange is going to be backed? Do you think he's going to get the players that he wants? Because like he doesn't typically go for like ready now players or win now players compared to our last manager. Do you think
Yeah,
he'll be? Do you think Levy be able to sort out players that he wants, or do you think it'll be more like club signings, quote unquote, ones for the future, or how do you think it will work out? How do you think it will plan out?
excellent question. Here's my fear. I think Big Ange is a quality tactician. I think he's a very smart coach. My only question is, yes, he's had success. Now, with the quality of players that he gets, if he gets back, and yes, he may find a no name that becomes a star. That's great. But the chances of that happening is tough in the Premier League. The Premier League, now you got the Brentfords who are like pulling up their pants. They're swinging that big dick now. You got Brighton, Brighton's coming in. Brighton's like, huh. Yeah, we're big dogs now. Aston Villa, you know, Chelsea's gonna come back. Liverpool's gonna come back. You got some big dogs in the Premier League, right? And they're getting talent, and talent's talent. Talent's talent. Now, if you can find hidden gems, that's great. It looks like our club is gonna be a lot of hidden gems, which is great. Which is great, you know. And maybe Ange's that yes man. He's not going to complain, you know. He's gonna have to make water into wine. He's gonna have to, you know, if Eric Dyer's still here, I mean, we hear conflicting results. He's gonna have to make Eric Dyer, prime Maldini. You know, he's gonna have to make Davies, Roberto Carlos or something. I mean, he's going to have to do that. We can only go by his track record that he's been able to find hidden gems, and it's worked out. My only caveat is just that now he's got things in the Premier League when you got the big dogs, and they're getting some prime talent. So it's a different story. And like I said, I mean, I support Big Ange. I think I love the fact that he's not going to play boring football. But the thing is, will he have the players to make this football a symphony? If it's going to be beautiful music, and for me, it's always been cut price, cut price, cut price, cut price, cut price type of players. And you have to understand, you know, even with Potch, where we had, we got Ericsson out of the big seven, the other six, failed, and there weren't too many competition at the Premier League at that time. Now it is. I mean, the Premier League is the best league in the world.
You're right. You're right. It's just to add to that as well. Like,
Bar,
you're right.
bar none.
At the time, it was when Poch was there. Klopp had only just joined with Liverpool. Pep obviously was just getting started. He wasn't there for years. There was no Brighton. Villa was nowhere to be seen. There was no Brentford. Arsenal were doing what Arsenal did back then. Do you know what I mean? So it was only us and Chelsea, I reckon, that was like doing bits, and Conte had first come into Chelsea, and it was a different landscape compared to what we have now. Like, competition is rife. And I was going to ask another question, because I just thought, we did go slightly more attacking under Mason, and our last game at home, we went to a back four, but we ended up losing to Brentford 3-1. And, already we see that we have our first target in David Raya. We might not be going for him. Do you think that's going to be the same with other key positions? Example, like centre-backs, because we need to play a back four now. We lost against Brentford. We went slightly more attacking. Does it worry you that we're not going to have the right players in that position? Are they going to be ready to play that back four come the start of the season?
I honestly, and it's a great question. I honestly think that we're looking for, because I don't think we're going to have a big signing of, especially because we have to sell to buy. Oh, that's what they say. I don't think there's going to be a big 40 million, 50 million signing. I think we're going to look for, like we've been looking at Fulham's center back.
50 million.
And he could be had for 20 to 25 million. But even that, I don't trust us doing, because I think Daniel Levy mindset is always find that $5 million Eli Ali player. I'm serious. Like he may even like a Liverpool be smart enough to say we're grabbing that Fulham guy, but we're gonna look for that $5 million, $10 million player, and we're gonna expect Ange to do beautiful music, to do miraculous thing with that player, right? Because everybody's talking about, we're not a club to go after the 85 and the 95 million players. Yes,
Mhm.
I agree with you 100%. Now, especially now, not the previous year, right? When we made Champions League and we had no content. Now, all right, our level. I hope. I hope our level is we could get someone in the 40s or the 50s or even the high 30s. But my feeling is, from
Mhm.
what I'm seeing, what Daniel Levy is doing, I think our level is the 15s and 20s. And so this is where you go back to your question: are we a big six club? Because I'm thinking you know that's the Burnleys of the world. That's the Crystal Palace of the world that we're
Can
going
we
at. I mean, are
can we
we?
attract can we attract top players like um players?
Now I don't think so. Um, for many reasons. Because of the current state of the club. Number two, we don't have a plan. Like I can understand if you're having like Chelsea would be a bad example to use.
People go to Chelsea because they just
You
know in a
got
couple of seasons they'll be back, so they
yeah,
can tell them the
they'll
dream,
be back.
and they spend the
I'm
money to
trying to
get the
find.
top targets. But we don't do that.
Yeah,
We don't spend the money for the top targets. Where we don't spend like your 100 million
yeah.
or your 8 million and
I'm
go.
trying to put a good example because if Spurs brought in a good plan, say, hey, look, I know we finished ninth, we're not in Europe, but this is what we envision. This is what we envision as a club. This is where we're going. We think you're an integral part of this club. This is what if we came with a serious plan, because mind you, I believe we don't do plans. Not here, not at Tottenham. We don't do plans. We don't
Mhm.
have a plan. We don't have a vision. It's chaotic. That's why we're not attractive to players. Players know this is it's a cesspool of a club. Then you could, with some of these players, say, hey, look, all right, this is what we're planning. This is what we want to do, da da da, and such and such. But right now, honestly, and then like I said, Daniel Levy and how his mind worked, we're going after players who are going for 15 or 20. Not not saying that they're not going to pan out, but now truth hurts. That's probably our level.
I saw West Ham go after one of the targets we were after, and I thought we were going to go for him, which was in Alex Scott,
Yeah,
and I thought that might be the price bracket that we're in. I know Ange likes young players. We need attacking midfielders, or we linked with attacking midfielders. So I was surprised that we didn't. Not disappointed, just surprised. That's all. That I thought maybe that's the level we're at, where we're going to get young, hungry players. Again, Alex Scott is a Tottenham fan, so and he's got a bit of the ability that we need. So I thought that's a player we'll go in for, but seems like West Ham are showing more intent because they've already made their mind up that Rice is being sold for X amount of money and they're going to need to replace straight away. So they've more or less got their plan together. They just won the Europa Conference League and now they're trying to push on and they're going to be playing in Europa next week. So they're trying to sell a ambition to players that they're trying to get. They're trying to build on the Paqueta and they're trying to build on other players that they got. So yeah, for me, I just thought we would go in for that player, but at the same time, we've got so many midfielders as well. I'm starting to think if Kane sticks around, which it looks like Levy's not going to sell, he's not gonna get rid of him. Where does Kane play in the Ange system? Where do you think Kane will play? And if he does play in the eight, and we're trying to go for Madison, then where would Madison go? If that makes sense. I know we play with two. I know that Posta Coglu plays with two eights, but one of the eights is more attacking than the other. And if Kane can't do like the high press where he puts pressure on the keeper, um, Kane's more of a a deep laying kind of centre forward, kind of lets the wingers run in behind him. I just think if you're going to have that type of player, what positions are going to be priority, where would it all fit, how would it all piece together? And this is what I'm talking about, the plan. I'm not entirely clear or sure how we're going about this.
Yeah, it's you're hitting it right on the head in regards to who we're going after. Priority number one is it's the center backs because we have leaked so many goals. Um, and 63 goals. That's just unacceptable. When it now comes to the midfield and to the attack, right? We just lost Lucas Moura, or we just resigned Kulu. It's going to be interesting because from what everybody, and including yourself, has told me was to what Big Ange wants to do with this club. There are definitely people we need to get, but there's also people going to have to move, and it's it is it is interesting. Who are we going to be? Harvey Barnes is the only one that I've heard. I haven't heard of anybody else in regards to winger that we're interested. And in the midfield, it's been Matt Eze, which I would love to get, but like I said, we're not getting him.
No, in fact,
It's tough.
we're not ambitious
Yeah,
enough to get those kind of players, which is a shame. But you know what? Saying that, funny enough, we were linked also with Xavi Simons today as well, which I just thought, what the hell?
he
What
had
are
a
we
good,
linked with him for?
he had a good year, but I
The
don't.
hell?
Yeah, Javi Simons. I know.
I said that is not the type of player that I don't think like fans even got excited about that because if that ever happened, I think they'd be ripping up the rule book. It'd be un-Levy like to go for a player that is proven, scored like 20 goals last season. Obviously, it was in the Everderies lower league, but
It's promising.
saying he's looking mad right now. He's looking crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we were linked with him as well as Harvey Barnes, and also who else were we linked with? Can't pronounce the guy's name, but he comes from Fenerbahce, 20-year-old.
The Turkish guy,
The Turkish kid, yeah.
Turkish
El
kid.
Gehi.
He's supposed to be a phenom. Like
Nago. He's a listen.
they said, Mo
He,
Salah. Like Mo Salah got done with this kid.
this kid is a prodigy. I'm telling you, he's a prodigy. The goals he's banging, it's you always see it though, always hear it. But for me, I just look at the player. I look at how they control the ball, how they move, what their pace is, like the attributes. If the attributes are A1, they're A1. I remember like when everyone was looking at was his name Kvaratskhelia from Napoli. I looked at him, I said, this guy's a speed demon, we need him. But like obviously, no one was sure if he's improving because he was playing in a lower league. I just saw him, I said, I could just tell he's a baller. He went to Napoli and he did bits, and I was like, if
I'm
only
happy.
he got him. Certain times, man, I just have to just take the punt and buy these brothers because these guys are fire. They're fire. We just need to get them in, and they're all young. So if they're young, just take the punt, take the risk. We finished 8th. So there's no pressure. Well, there is pressure probably from the board to get top 4, but like I say, this season, just get those young boys in, man. Get the youngsters in Schofield, and then just run with it. But I can't see us again. I can't see us doing it.
I'm glad you're talking about this subject and expectations because those are my expectations. Now I'm to the point of, but it's hard because right. You brought up Napoli. What people don't understand, Napoli sold their best players who are aging. Right. They got rid of the Insigne. They got rid of Mertens.
Yeah,
Top players, Koulibaly. And
yeah,
they said, okay, we like Osimhen, right?
yeah.
Um,
Was he
and,
from Leon? Was he from Leon? Or
Leon,
someone?
yeah, and we were linked with him. And
Imagine
so
that.
and they got K,
Kim
um,
and Jay, that son recommended.
yeah, yeah, and they got of course, can't pronounce the name.
Yeah, Kvaratskhelia, whatever his name is. Yeah,
I watch a lot of Napoli. That's my Italian team because I lived in Napoli, but I have a hard time pronouncing his name, names in general. But
Hmm.
but yeah, and they took a risk, but it was all in. They planned that out. When we
Yeah,
get back from
yeah.
Syria,
It was a proper plan. You're right.
in 10 years
You're
we'll get back
spot
to
on.
Syria. In 10 years we will win a trophy. In 10 years we'll get into the Champions League. In 10 years, De Laurentiis says, now we want to win the Champions League. This is a club that has a plan. Newcastle tell their fans, this is what we want to do.
Mm.
Daniel Levy has never said that. At most, he'll say some football that we will like. Fuck,
Mm.
I want uh, football that we can win, not only like,
You
win
know what
stuff.
Levy needs to do? He needs to come out. He's never going to do it, but he just needs to be transparent. I think that's where people just don't trust him and don't believe in him. If he just came out and said, "Look, guys, ambition is top four, but we're nowhere near it. This season, we're probably going to end up, we're going to end up where we're going to end up, seventh or eighth, but at least we're going to try and push for fourth. In 5 years' time, we want to be challenging, or in 10 years' time, we want to be, like what Newcastle said. Newcastle were clear with their ambition. They were like, listen, in 10 years' time, we want to be challenging for the league. But where Levy doesn't come out and communicate too well to the fans, because he's just not a people's person, he's like more
Yeah,
of an introvert, it's like to his detriment that basically we don't know what's going on. Nothing's clear, nothing's transparent. We don't know what's going on in the club. And that's why people are guessing what we're doing. We don't know if we want 50 million players, if we want 40 million players, if we want 30 million players, if we want 10 million players. We're assuming that we want 20 million players, because that's what we're seeing with that David Raya now, that obviously he's worth 40 million and we're going for a cheaper option. So on the face of it, we're assuming that that's what Levy wants, the cheaper option. But it
yeah,
would be, if he came out and said, look, guys, we're finished outside of Europe. That means we've got less money to play with. And I'll be honest, this is what's going to happen. We haven't sold as many season tickets, and everyone should just lower the expectations. I think you'll get more respect from the fans if he did that. But where he's Mr. PR, Daniel Coys, it's just like, yeah, lie after lie. We just don't trust him. We just, yeah,
yeah,
liar, Jim Carrey, man. So what can I
yeah.
say?
And like I said, it doesn't help to have Chris Cowan on Sky and talk about top four, talk about Europe. I'm like, first of all, it's unfair to Big Ange, unfair to him. And number two, have to be realistic. Right now, we're maybe at best eighth or ninth. It's not me being negative. It's just how the club is. It's telling the truth how good the other clubs are,
Mm,
how good their plans are, and where we are currently at. You
yeah,
know,
just
now
yeah.
this attempt is not bad on ninth if you see elements of progression, right? I mean, that I would think would be a successful season if we see some. Okay, I'm seeing some remnants of what Big Ange wants to do. Some young players come up. I know people make fun of, let's say, Brian Hill, right?
Yeah.
Maybe comes in and Big Ange gets him somewhere somehow to maybe bulk up a little bit and,
Mm.
and maybe kind of be, you know, Bernardo Silva. I'm not saying he's good as Bernardo
Yeah,
Silva.
no, I'm with it. Carry on, carry on. Yeah, no, no, go
Yeah,
with it, go with it, go
but
with it, go
but
with it.
the
We can
guy,
dream, we can dream.
yeah, the guy does have technical tools. He just don't have the body. But we've seen players in the Premier League who don't have that body, but become a dog. Like
Bernardo Silva,
Silva,
David
David
Silva.
Silva, tiny, but he was a dog. And so it's just that now. You got Brian Hill coming back. You have Jed Spence coming back. You know,
He's
Basuma,
apparently he's eager to impress as well. He's very eager to impress.
yeah,
Jet Spence.
Basuma. I want to see what Basuma does because Conte in. But one thing I probably had a problem with Conte was how
Basuma was treated, not played a lot.
Yeah, but in regards to Basuma.
What one thing I will say, just to add to that, sorry to cut you in as well. I
No, no,
got
no,
Brighton
go ahead.
earlier as well, but I've
Yeah.
forgotten the point I wanted to make. But basically, with Basuma, apparently, in terms of training, or actually in terms of the actual running stats, so on the ball, Basuma, no problem. A bit like Ndombele. On the ball, you can see his quality, you can see his ability. But I think the worry was off the ball tactically. I think that's where Conte was scrutinizing him a bit, saying he's not quite ready. He's obviously a good player, but he's just not ready for that position. And obviously he hadn't played it before at Brighton. And apparently the running stats indicated that, because they all read the chess thing, which measures how much they run. Apparently he ran the least in the whole club. Like for the players that came on or started, he was the player that ran least. And Conte demands hard work. Like he's a thing. If you don't work hard for the team, you're out. If you're not working hard in training, you're out. And so, but the thing is, I'm not sure the reason why his running stats were low is because I remember when he went onto that Eastern tour, Korean tour, sorry, he had that long COVID. You see what I'm trying to say? So maybe because and I think Ben mentioned that as well on one stream as well. I think maybe that long COVID may have affected his ability to kind of keep up and run, etc. Then he got the injury on top as well. So it'll be interesting to see if his running stats do improve under Big Ange, because Ange also wants hard-working players just higher up the pitch. We just want to win the ball higher up and keep the ball moving. And it would suit Basuma because at Brighton, that's the style of play they played. It was more attacking,
Yeah.
possession-based football, and he was in the midfield three, which will be in midfield three again. So again, I would like to see how Basuma will play as a six, because I thought he was dominant in that position, especially against the big six. So like he bullied Man United. I see him bully Chelsea, Liverpool, even
Problems, fits, and I'm like, people talk about Perisic being underwhelming. I was like, man, what happened to Basuma? And so I'm like, and for me, I'm like, no. We're gonna see a better Basuma. We're gonna see a better Basuma, because I'm just like, no, there's no way, because the year before I'm like, oh, when we got Basuma, I'm like finally we got some quality.
I got gassed
You know?
about that. I was like
I,
that. I was
yeah,
celebrating in my bedroom when we signed Basuma. I just woke up one morning. It was like Christmas. I saw the "We got Basuma" in capital letters, exclamation marks. I was going
and
mad.
rival fans were like,
War in the air. I was going mad. I said, finally, like this is when I started believing Conte. I had a bit of hope. I was like, yeah, a bit of
yeah,
delusion, some might say. But I thought we were going to get the Brighton Basuma, but instead we got I don't know what we got, bro. It wasn't the same, brother. Trust me. I
his
can't
brother.
lie. That would beat it, Basuma. Renegade Basuma. But yeah, like I don't know. He wants to improve as well. He even said at the end of the season, like, I'm feeling like fitter, sharper. I'm ready to come. I'm ready to work hard. Blah blah blah. He was giving it all that fighting talk at the end of the season, when the season was over. But even his last 2 or 3 games, I saw the upturn, especially when he came on. I can't remember what game he came on, but he came on, and I think he came on for either Skip. I think it was Skip or Højbjerg, one of the two. But he just started getting the ball, keeping it simple, passing it, making the ball tick a bit quicker. And he always wanted it. He always wanted the ball, like,
Yeah.
unlike you know who. I'm not going to mention no names, but literally he just was full of energy, wanted the ball, could move around, could circulate it. And people don't think
Okay.
Basuma is that monster. Oh, yeah. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope Holberg's gone. Let's
I
hope.
hear Bayern is sniffing
Let's hope.
around.
There's
PSG,
rumors floating.
there's some
Like,
rumors floating.
there is rumor like Nemo, floating like Nemo. But
I know Queen Ellie's gonna kill me for this, but if he's gone,
you know what it is for me? Højbjerg, you know what? All right, let me say what Højbjerg's strengths are for me personally. Højbjerg's strengths are his passing, yeah, his hard-working ability to run around the pitch, like to get cover like blades of grass. He'd be up and down the pitch. His obviously his talks a lot as well. And the final third, he's quite effective as well. Actually, when he's further forwards, he can pass. He does quite a few progressive passes. He can finish. Like he's got a decent shot on him as well, but he just doesn't do it as much as his technique is available. Like the technique that he has, he should be utilizing it a lot more. When it comes to like
Just get
responsibility,
a match for Denmark, balling. And I'm just like, wait. I'm like, what? Like,
it's.
what was this?
But you know, some people say like because he's not in that midfield three. I remember when he was in the midfield three once, and he's like, "Oh, it's like a cheat code. I can't believe it."
Yeah.
When you're playing with another player, it allows you to go forward. When you've got two men there sitting, it allows you to bomb forward a bit, and you're not worried about the defenders behind you. You see what I'm trying to say? When you're
Yeah.
in the midfield two, and you leave your post, and it's one midfielder left in the center by himself, then there's a gaping hole where you've just left. If that makes sense. And
Yeah.
then also the left back, because he was playing predominantly on the left, I think, or maybe on the right, but I saw him predominantly on the left. And that left side was Perisic and Ben Davies, or Perisic and Longley, or Perisic or Sessegnon. That whole left side was just weak. So in his head, he's thinking, if I run up to help the man them, I'm exposing everything behind me. I need to just sit back, and just chill and just take it L. Because that's the reason why we were getting pummeled so much. We were just getting hit. That left-hand side just got hit. They knew that we had nothing on that left-hand side, and they kept going down it. So I think a lot of goals we conceded down that left-hand side. And then also you've got Eric Dyer that doesn't like to engage in tackles. He's a cat, like you said. He's not a dog. He's the cat. He's the one that's going to set off, but he just doesn't tackle at all. He just backed off. And then people would shoot through him, around him, beat him, take him on because he's got no pace. And again, I think with Højbjerg, me personally, when it comes to his mobility, like on the ball, like I talk about I'm a PT, so I always talk about lateral movement. Lateral movement means moving from left to right quickly. Your change of direction, your change of movement, speed of thought wasn't quite there on the ball. When the pass is hard and it's a difficult pass to make, he doesn't do it. When it comes to being press resistant, he's not really that guy. He's that person to point. He will pass it sideways and backwards certain times when we're building from the back, when you sometimes need a player to carry the ball up the field to start the attack. Remember, you're a midfielder. You need to be press resistant. You need to be able to carry the ball and dribble the ball in tight areas, or just push the ball up and give it to your attack. That's why Kane constantly kept coming back, because there was no link between defense and attack. It's like we had no midfield. It kind of was bypassed a lot of the time, because obviously the style Conte wants to play football, quick bang into feet, 2 or 3 passes. Then he wants it into Kane, Son, or Richarlison. He wants high turnovers. Yeah. But in certain instances, that didn't always work. And when we're building from the back, you need someone that's confident in that area to be like, look, just give it to me. I always want it. Like a player, they always want it. You can tell. You can tell when a player always wants it. Doesn't matter. Just give it to me. Kane was that player. You give the ball, Kane would drop deep and will always want it. And so sometimes... And Bentancur, Bentancur as well. Those are the players that were press resistant, that could beat a player and then start an attack. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what it is. You just beat that first man and then it opens up.
And that's why because I saw that confidence, and it was almost like he was scared. Like, I don't know if Conte was like, "Oh, don't turn on the pivot. Don't turn that ball back."
He had a leash on a few players, and I think Basuma was one of them.
Yeah,
I see how much freer Basuma was when he had that leash taken off. He looked like a different guy.
I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, what's wrong with this cat? He's not like,
you know what it was, Mahri? I felt like those two players, Skip and Højbjerg, were very similar, and they both felt like DMs as opposed to a centre mid. Whereas a centre mid, you've got the best of both. You can defend, but then you can always go forward with the ball as well. These guys would sit back low, deep in our own half, and they're trying to ping balls from far back, way back where. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then if, like, for example, Son can't hold on to it, or Richarlison can't hold on to it, or Kulu can't hold on to it, or Kulu runs into a brick wall, we lose the ball, and then they're in on goal straight away. Like, they hit us. It's like, I don't know, we're not set up. We haven't got a good shape. So they expose us, and it kept happening time after time after time, in my opinion, from what I saw. I could be wrong. But I just feel like we were too one way. We were too, not negative, but too defensive sometimes, when we needed to be a bit more presumptuous, a bit more progressive in our play, because that's the reason why we were second half FC. And like, managers was like, I never told him to sit back. I never told him. But they did, because that's where the space was when we went to counter attack. The space was behind. That's the reason why we played deep, so we could expose those areas that were in behind. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, Barney, go on.
No, no, no. Let me pose you this question. Stel says this a lot, right?
Yeah,
I'm talking about his partner, Skip. We
yeah,
saw what Skip did at Norwich. It was what the championship player of the year. We saw what he did at Norwich.
yeah.
Now that Big Ange is coming in, what is his ceiling? Because I feel that we've seen his ceiling, and I think at best squad player, but not
Mhm.
good enough. Like you know, it's, I- I'm not expecting him to be like in the midfield like Jude Bellingham and whatsoever.
Yeah, he's not that dictator. He's not that
You
type of player.
not even not even Mason Mount in a way, but it's
Yeah,
just
he's not a man either.
what's the ceiling you think? Because we just talked about Brian Hill. I think Brian Hill's ceiling is in the. I know Will's gonna kill me for this, but I've always said his his success is not there because he's a twig, right? If
Mm.
someone gets some meat on his bones, maybe we could see something Brian Hill. But Skip,
Mm.
for me, I'm like, I think that's the finished product, and for me, squad play because he has the heart. He bleeds Spurs and whatsoever.
Mm.
I get that,
Mm.
but I don't. I don't see him in 2 years as what do you think about Skip?
Skip, as I said before, is very similar to Højbjerg, progressive passer, positionally really good. Has vision as well. I think he's got a lot of vision. Really good at the turnovers. Good at running every grass blade of the pitch. Like gets across. Very vocal, leader type player. So similar to Højbjerg in that sense. Doesn't shy from responsibility. Doesn't really mind it under pressure, to be fair. But in this Spurs system, he's played really far back. And what I need to see from Skip is progressive passing in not just from a long range, but running up the pitch and doing sometimes short passes, if that makes sense. Sometimes just doing 1-2 touches,
Yeah,
giving it to the teams higher up. But things with speed, playing with speed. He's not a player that carries the ball. Doesn't really carry the ball. You never see Skip driving with the ball
no,
in the heart of midfield. That's not his game. So what I would like to see from him is if he is higher up the pitch, he needs to be doing those through balls, those key passes, balls that hurt teams, because that's what he has. That's his ability. He doesn't shoot enough for me either. I remember when we did play midfield three, and he was asked to do like more of a high press role, where like kind of attacking mids, kind of win the ball high up, but like his end product wasn't there in terms of shooting. I know he scored a banger against Chelsea when he smashed it top corner. Was it top corner? But that roof of the net. That was the one time I was like, Skip, has he arrived? But then apart from that, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it enough. And I need to see for Skip to be a top midfielder, for me, he needs to have more shots, first of all, on goal, more shots on target, more contributions to the forward line, passing. He's really good at the switcher play. So, but I want to see him get the ball off the defenders and 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 be that anchor man that I know. Like one player is a man that um, can start the attack through dribbling. One man starts the attack through long passes or just a range of passes. Do you know what I mean? Because that's his strength, isn't it? That's his strength. I
yeah,
don't really see him as the second eight. That's what it's going to have to be. I don't see him as a six either. I think the position for him will be more of the second eight, where it's a mix between being quite combative, like winning the ball up in a high area, but then
mm,
also providing assists. But I just feel like in terms of goals, he lacks that. You need that from your second eight. You know what I mean? The first
yeah.
one's just an attacking mid, like he's just a straight. But the second eight, which is a centre mid, you need to see high energy, winning the ball back,
Don't
and
contribute.
sometimes driving with it, sometimes one touch, just mixing up the game a bit. For me, he's quite one dimensional at times. And I'm not saying he hasn't got in his locker to carry the ball. He probably has, but we're just not seeing it for some reason. And I don't know if it's down to Conte because that was the style he wanted, to get the ball and pass it quick and give it into the front players as fast as possible. And that's the way he's been coached. Yeah, for me, I just need to see a bit more variety in his game. And that's the reason why I think lots of people aren't feeling Skip. It looks a bit basic. It looks a bit like a typical English midfielder, if that makes sense. A
Yeah.
bit like I hate to say it because people are going to war me for saying this, but this is what I see with James Ward-Prowse. You know, James Ward-Prowse, again, doesn't really carry the ball.
No.
Technically quite good. Good finish. I think the difference between him and Ward-Prowse creates more chances for his teammates, more key passes, can finish, set pieces, etc., etc. But in
Yeah.
terms of profile, in terms of like skilling a man up, like, you know, like me and my brother, I like to see flair. I like to see man put it through his legs or take a man on, be brave on the ball. If you lose it, you lose it. But do something, you know what I'm trying to say? Like certain times the game's tight and you need that extra. Do you know what I'm saying? You need that little bit of to get past those teams where they have two lines of four and you got to try and break them down somehow. Like, yeah, but like, yeah, physically, Skip, he's good. He's got a lot of running in him, so technically he's not bad. Like, he's switch of play, he's really good at passes. Like, I'm going over the same points, but yeah, I just need to see a bit more. I need to
Yeah.
see a bit more.
Yeah. And then I forgot we have Sar, um, who's is going to get a chance. Hopefully, he's going to get a chance with Big Ange. I would assume he have his chance to to win that spot in the midfield. We big up Daz. We did talk about the new goalie. Well, because it looks like the Raya deal is not going to go through, but this goalie's not that bad. It's just the way of how it's gone about is true typical Daniel Levy fashion. The tactics, it would never change. A leopard can change his spots. Um, and yeah, apparently we agreed to terms of Empoli for 20 mil. So we will see. I mean, it's I got to see it to believe it. But yeah, breaking news, guys. Personal terms agreed with the keeper from
Yeah, I
Empoli.
knew that
I
before we
think that
started.
they are calling for Italy 5-year contract, waiting for the bid.
Yeah, that's what it is. The thing is as well, like going back to, I know we're on goalkeepers for a bit, but going back to that midfield bit, because you spoke about Saar.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, because we already covered the goalkeepers, but it was good that you addressed it again.
Yeah.
Because I did see that before we started the stream that personal terms were more or less agreed, and that's what I was saying before. More time the player wants to come, but it's the club that's the stumbling block. When it comes to the club, we're always haggling. But yeah, you mentioned Saar, and I think the difference between Skip and Saar is with Skip, he's like the unsung hero. He does the dirty work, a bit like Højbjerg does the dirty work. Very similar to Højbjerg again. Things that you don't excite players. That's what he's doing. He's cleaning up. He's winning the ball. He's challenging. He's doing last ditch tackles, sliding. He's protecting the defense. But with Sar's a man that carries the ball. Sometimes he switches the play as well. So he doesn't always come off, or he tries a long ball, doesn't always come off. But the fact that he's trying to get things ticking, I think loads of fans appreciate that. And he's very you really notice Sar because his structure, the way he's built, his legs are long like a giraffe. And when he runs, he opens his stride up. People say that it reminds him of Vieira because he's got such a big stride. His gait's so big. But he travels with the ball. And also, he shoots a lot more than Skip, from what I've seen. So he's got a bit more of end products. Not always on target because he hasn't scored. I know Skip scored the one. But a comparison to how much game time Skip has had, you'd expect a lot more goals from Skip from midfield.
Yeah.
Højbjerg obviously started off well. He did a good start to the season. And then since Bentancur left, it's like that partnership is needed. I think Skip would look better under a Bentancur, but so would Sarr, some might argue. Do you know what I'm saying? Bentancur and Sarr might even be a something that might work further down the line, maybe next year in the midfield three under Ange. We'll see what happens in pre-season. If Ange fancies him, then he will keep him. But as I was saying before, because Sarr can carry the ball, is a lot more noticeable than Skip, where Skip doesn't really carry the ball like that. He just gets the ball and passes it and tries to do the long pass ball. Sar's like trying to do that quick transition, that quick counter attack through running. And I think that's why Conte preferred Skip to Sar, because of he does that dirty work and he does that first time pass. I noticed that a lot of coaches, they like it. They don't like it when you run with it. If a person's in position, they want you to go long. They want you to just do it quickly because the ball moves faster than a player, if that makes sense. And you can create more chances if you just give it to the strikers in a higher position. And I think that's the style of play that they wanted. But yeah, all fans against that AC Milan game, most fans said they wanted Sarr. Why did Skip start over Sarr? In AC Milan game, Sarr was the better of the player.
Sarr was amazing. He actually was giving fits to Tonali. Tonali, there's a picture of Sarr. It looks like he's over Tonali. He's on the ground.
Newcastle's new Don. So that's mad. That speaks volumes, though. I like it. That speaks volumes. He was handling both of them. And Diaz as well. That's gone to Real Madrid. So that midfield's no joke. Like, and them men were bossing it, like winning. Between both of them, they were winning balls back, and then Sarr was given the responsibility of just linking the midfield defense to attack. So yeah, man, I'm a fan for Sarr, but we'll see innit. We'll see what the manager wants, what he likes, and see if he gets a chance.
I need to go back. I just went to back on Twitter. It looks like this deal is practically done. With put on the screen, everybody to see a new Vicario. Personal terms has been agreed, just like with Raya. It's personal terms, and it looks like official bid to for Vicario soon. So here's the deal. Like I said, I know my club. Personal terms agree with Raya. Personal terms agree with Vicario. Mr. Romano says official bid to Empoli for Vicario soon. So it hasn't been agreed yet.
No,
all right. It hasn't. You know Daniel Levy. You know him. I'm gonna put the banner back up, right? Same old Levy. We know how he is. So let's see. It's not officially done yet. It's not officially done yet. It's just personal terms. I know this. This is the club we had image rights. This is the club. Willen was in the car, right? Willen was in the car going to get his medical down Chelsea's way. You remember that? You remember
that? Come on. How can I forget?
I was like, we get it, Willen. And then you turn. Jose Mourinho. Oh my goodness. Snatched them. Then we had Grealish all signed up. And, it's all good. And boom, right? Paulo Dybala. He's coming. Image rights. So, like I said, I have no expectations. I don't get excited about it because I know my club.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Forster stays or if they get rid of him. So it'll be like, I don't know, like what the tactics are. If like, supposing we did get, I don't know if we will. I don't know. Forster will probably stay, but I'm just saying, like in a hypothetical world, imagine Forster for some reason, Big Ange didn't want him, we want to get rid of him, and he left. Would there be a spot for two keepers? This is me being optimistic. I should have stopped talking, really. I'm saying, right, what if we got both of them? And it was part of the tactic that, right,
I don't know. Nah. about him. I mean, they put him up there with Mike Manon and Onana, who are rates.
Onana's quality. Did you see what he was doing in Champions League? Oh my days! As soon as I saw that because I've been looking at Nana for a while and I've been rating it, but I just remember when we played him against
People go
in the
back to the
Champions League in
Ajax
Ajax.
game. People go back to the Ajax game. I said, it happens to all the best keepers. They have
Yeah,
one game where it's
yeah,
just like,
I met.
oh, Nana's good. I mean, I heard
Nana
someone
is
say,
good. Nana is good because
you know,
I'd watch a lot of it.
he should score more goals if it wasn't for Nana. And someone
Yeah,
say, oh, forget he's the one who allowed 3 goals against Tottenham, and I'm like, that's just one game. I'm like,
yeah.
dude, that's just one game.
No, his
Onana,
passing range is mad. He saves as well. I remember the game against Valencia. That's when I properly watched him in the Champions League. It was Inter Milan versus Valencia, and he was pulling out worldies, man. He was just doing the most. But like, yeah, on the ball, he is far better than David Raya. Far better. I'm telling you, like, that Champions League game, that was a great example of like what you want from a sweeper keeper. Like the passes in. Then him taking the ball under pressure, like receiving the ball under pressure, just elite level.
going back to Vicaria, like I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't see Empoli at all this year. Like,
Yeah.
is he good with the feet? Because I mean, with Raya, right? The going the same was he's okay with the feet. So I mean,
Basically, what it is, I'll tell you now. Basically, what it is, Raya is more of a sweeper keeper, so he will come out and clean up. You know, like try go for a challenge, go for a
which
tackle,
we need.
interception, which we need, right? Exactly. But yeah. So this keeper hasn't demonstrated that really, from what I've seen. He hasn't really demonstrated to be like a sweeper keeper. Kind of more or less stays in the box. However, David Raya or David Raya, however you pronounce his name, I've seen him make 2 errors, and the 2 errors have come from playing out from the back, doing those short passes. Don't get me wrong, he's good with his feet when the ball's in his hands, or he's got time on the ball. If he's got time and no one's pressing him, he launches the ball further than any of the keepers that we're linked with. Like in terms of like distance, getting to like Tony or trying to like hit a diagonal to a wing forward or a wing back. He's gonna find them. He's quite accurate at that. But from what I know, Ange wants it short because he wants to play the keeper as like a centre back, maybe as a third centre back. The keeper comes out and plays. But so he just keeps the ball moving. But yeah, that's the problem with Raya. But apart from that, Raya's really good at, like I said before at the start of the show, good at saving, not bad at crosses. Like he's better than this guy is anyway for like corner kicks.
We'll talk
And
about this.
that's the thing I worry about, because in corners, if we're gonna get a Tapsoba that's not super strong in the air, and then he's not great at corners, then I worry about set pieces and corners. Like you might concede a bit. We need a commanding keeper at the back that can also sweep a keeper, play out from his feet. There's certain attributes that need to be met when
This is where
careful planning.
Because I'm seeing the praises. I'm seeing the praises for Daniel Levy in regards to, oh, you see, he got a cheaper, he got a potentially better keeper for a cheaper price. But if
He is a good keeper. He is a good keeper.
Yeah, but if he's not a sweeper keeper, right, and this is what Ange wants, then it's like, once again, let a manager something that they don't want. You get what I'm saying? It's like saying,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It comes back to the plan, right? It comes back to the plan.
Yeah. It goes with just the plan. It's like, okay, I want you to make me a meal. I need these ingredients. Okay, I'm going to the store. You come back, and we're like, what? These ingredients. Yeah, I want you to make that same meal that you're gonna make. I want you to make lasagna, but I want you to make lasagna with these ingredients. It's like, well, no. I'm used to making with those ingredients. And see, that's the thing. This is where, once again, Levy oversteps his bound. But I must say it. I said at the beginning, I'm not surprised. I'm not upset. I expect this. This is Daniel Levy. This is the board. I'm used to this.
The funny thing is, like we said, with it just smells of Paratici, doesn't it? It smells of like a Paratici, like top keeper from Italy. Do you know what I mean? Um, I reckon that's what it is, and then a price point as well that suits the club. It's just you could just see it. You could just see it now. But yeah, who knows though? We could be wrong. You never know. He might turn out, if we do sign him, could turn out to be. I just haven't seen it. I'll be honest with you. Look at the metrics, and if we are to look at the metrics, because that's what they're doing now. They're led by data analytics, aren't they? So if we're going off of that, I've looked at his heat map over the season, and I can't see him coming out of his goal. I compared him against David Raya, and I also compared him against Valencia keeper that we were linked with, and they're both more sweeper keepers than him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not bad with his feet though. That's one thing I'll say. He's not bad with his feet. He's just not as good in terms of launching it, in terms of like distance covered, like trying to hit those diagonals. Like, when it comes to counter attacks, setting off a counter attack, you know what Alisson does when he gets the ball from his hands, and Raya's really good at that. Whereas this keeper, that's not really in his arsenal, if that makes sense. Not in his toolkit. Let me use a better word. That's not really in his.
Ash, I'm gonna put this out here, right? This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing on Twitter, right? And a couple of people have said this.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to Brighton, right? Everybody wants to Brighton until it's time back like Brighton. Now, that is a weak argument. You can't use that argument. And here's the reason why. Brighton has had their system, right? The analytics system for years, right?
Been in place for a long time, 10 years.
Right? Tottenham just recently look at trying to hire analytic person, right? Be analytics does Moneyball doesn't come in one day or 1 month. It is a system, a committed system that's built in a couple of years. That's what Brighton has been able to get this talent for years. Yes, you have to have a start, but come on now. People coming with this, everyone wants to be like Brighton until it's time to act like Brighton. I've seen people say this on Twitter, and I'm just like, no. Brighton has been doing this for years, all right? All right?
Moneyball.
With Paul Barber and Moneyball, analytic, they've been doing this for years, okay? So don't try. People, I'm telling you, man, people, people are funny. People are funny.
It's true, but you know what it is as well? It's like Brighton, from what I've heard about them, not only did they have a sporting director, which we don't have, but for each position, they have like a designated scout that literally focuses on that one player, and they use their analytics just to focus on that area. So, for example, they've got a scout just for goalkeepers, or they've got a scout just for right backs or centre back. He just focuses. That's his job, literally. He's got the analytics. They do the data. They have words and discussions with the coach. They talk to them constantly. Then they speak to the director of football. And there's levels of layers of management that they all go through. All football people, like layers of football people, which we don't have. So it's like we're trying to do a quick fix or a botch job. We're not quite there yet. I know it's easy to cut, not easy, but like the data's out there, isn't it? If you just need to go out and practice what you preach. But I just don't know when it comes to the table if Daniel Levy's gonna just say, okay, so these are the numbers, cool, because he's a numbers guy at the end of the day. He's an accountant, so really this should be right up his street. He should be able to look at the data and numbers and be crunch them and be like, yeah, cool, that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Rather as opposed to like picking a player he likes, like a Richarlison or something. I don't know, or just whoever the club signer is. I don't know, and think, oh yeah, that player will be good for that manager. Do you know what I mean? The manager, or not the manager, the coach has to be on the same page as Levy and vice versa. Like I feel like last season, Conte had players that he wanted in Ashley Young, Perisic. What other older players did he want? He wanted another player that was quite older, more experienced. Then you had Paratici, that was somewhere in the middle. And then Daniel Levy had an idea of who he wanted. Do you know what I mean? So it was like three guys trying to be the manager, if that makes sense. I didn't see them like all marrying together in their ideas, in my opinion, from what I saw. So yeah, it'd be nice if Ange is taking the reign on this, and he's got like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to like players. He knows a lot about football, and
Yeah.
he's able to identify the players that he wants. The data and analytics are there, backs it up. Then Levy looks at that and he says, "That's what you want? Yeah, we'll go and get it." And it's that simple. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's got to be. But whether that happens is who knows, man. Who knows if that's going to happen? If we're going to stick to that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the reason why fans are getting upset, as well, because we're linked with a player, number one target. All of a sudden, the cheaper option appears, or an option, not necessarily a cheaper option, but an option that, like I said, is not necessarily a sweeper keeper, something that we're looking for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when fans get underwhelmed. So it'll be interesting to see how fans react to this as well. Because one thing not getting David Raya, but then to go for someone that's not quite the player profile that we want.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Especially the people that are backing Levy as well, like, or backing the club to do better this time. They're a bit more optimistic. I'm very intrigued to see what we do as well before the tour, before we go on tour, before we have our pre-season. I want to see the next, what is it, 7 days? How long have we got before our pre-season? Is it in 7 days? 10
Yeah,
days?
I want to say 7 to 10 days. Yeah, it's just coming soon. It's coming
coming
soon.
soon. I want to see if there's any business done before and what business we do before that and what people's responses are to it. If we've changed or if we're the same. If we all of a sudden the next week bang out all these players, goalkeeper, centre backs, attacking mids, and the priority positions are done, then it's just less for us to kind of argue about. We've done our business early, and we can focus on other opportunities in the windows. Is if and if they come up, when and if they come up. So
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. Definitely.
Ben can't mention it at the time. Portugal's. Oh yeah. Also, I just forgot to mention we were linked with because we were talking about options, what we need to prioritize, and you said there's no Lucas Moura. Who's going to be the backup to Kulu? Because we've lost Lucas Moura. I've also lost Dan Juma.
Pepe.
We linked with our player called Pepe, yeah, from Porto. Do you know much about him?
I know I've seen him play once or twice. He also played for Brazil.
So I could just say quickly that last season he got 4 goals and 7 assists in the Premier A division. He's 26 years old and he's a sticky foot. I think he's a sticky foot. The ball just sticks to his foot. Like, again, he likes to come from out to in, predominantly played on the right wing, but can play as a left winger or a left midfielder. So I think he can play in either wing. He's a flair player. I think he's a player that gets bombs off seats, personally. For a long time, we haven't had a player that excites fans. And I think sometimes, especially in a stadium, when you've got a player that gets bombs off seats, a bit like I'm not saying some maximum, but I am saying some maximum. It just raises the energy. You can get excited, like something like tricky.
That's Main Defoe.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, the ones like, you're like, bro, what did you see what he did? Because at the end of the day, you go to watch football to be entertained. Let's keep it 100. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's that type of player for me that he does that. Like, again, I've said it before, when things are tight and you've got defenses that want to just, sit back, he's a man that can just breeze past, not even breeze past, dribble, like do 3 man, bap, 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 bap. Yeah, I'm saying. And then he's got end product. So it's not like it's a maximum where nothing comes of it. He's actually got end products as well. I was
Yeah.
looking at the amount of through balls he does. He's in the 90th percentile, top 90th percentile in the world in terms of through balls. So you just know, even though he's playing as a right winger, he's a right winger / attacking midfielder because he comes like, you know how Coutinho used to come off the wing for Brazil and then drive into the middle. That's what he basically does. He comes in diagonal. Tricky. But also, one thing I will say, even though if we're not linked to any wingers, the fact that Ange is excited about Porro, he said he's really excited about him, really likes him. So I
Yeah.
wonder,
Well,
I
what can
wonder,
you see him being an inverted winger? Can you
that's
see
what
him
I'm saying.
being?
I wonder if he wants to use him as a winger or if he'll
Yeah.
keep him as a right back. I know the right backs, he wants the right backs to invert, but his wingers, he likes to keep them high and wide so the 2-8s can push into that kind of channel, left and right. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what role he plays because last season, obviously, it was Royale that played behind Porro, and Porro was allowed to push forward, and he saw the best of the two of them. And I think that's what I'll give Mason praise for at least like getting the best out
Yeah.
of the team because he said he saw that Porro wasn't good defensively, and he saw that Royal wasn't good attacking, but good defensively, and one was good attacking. So he put them together, and they protected each other quite well.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if Ange keeps that on and keeps Royal as a right back and maybe deploys Porro as a right mid / winger. Do you know what I mean? So that'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see because he got 3 goals in the time he was there. Imagine if we bought him early in the window, he would have maybe scored maybe one more. Who knows? But the return he scored more goals than Kulu. So you know what I mean? Played less games. Me personally, though, if I'm being honest, as good as Porro is, I prefer my wingers to be wingers. There's a reason why he was a right back or a wing back. Do you know what I'm saying? I would prefer if a backup to like, that we've lost, unless we were gonna get another right back in to rival Royale, which would make sense to me because I think that position needs to be strengthened. Both positions, I think, left back and right back. If we're going to invert them both, I know we're going to get a doggy on the left, and
Yeah. I'm excited.
defensively, a doggy is better than Porro from what I've seen.
Yeah. I
And
don't know
he's
why
still young.
everybody's. I don't know why everybody's worried about your doggy. I've seen your doggy. That's what I've seen, and
Yeah,
I'm excited to see him.
I'm not
To
worried about him either.
Yeah, I'm about him. Yeah, he's not. You know, he's not the greatest. Defender. You know, but for his age and what he does, I think he's going to come good, and I think he'll work on his defense. He'll be better, but I, it's just I've heard people sour. Okay, yeah, Udogi's coming back, but there's no. I'm just like I'm glad he's coming back, and
Mm.
glad to see. I wish we had Udogi this season.
Yeah, me too. I'll be honest. I
I
wish
want
we had him this season as well.
Perisic to sit.
Yeah,
Session is rubbish for me. I'm sorry. He
he's
needs to
lightweight.
go. Yeah, he needs to
He's
go.
lightweight.
Now, the interesting one, and he is coming back, is what's his name? Uh,
Ndombele.
um, Pretty boy. The one with the wife. Uh,
What position?
um, gosh, how can I forget his name? The
What
Spaniard.
position?
The Spaniard.
Spaniard.
Yeah,
Oh, Regulon.
Regulon. Reggie.
Regular.
Yeah, Regulon. Yeah,
Regulon.
yeah. I forgot he was on our team, but he's coming back. I would, I would have him and Udogi.
You know what's funny? Like a lot of people are saying that, but I worry about him defensively as well. Regulon. I'm not sure if he's that good. Like going forward, I remember him going forward because I remember him setting up Son. I remember him scoring a couple. Like his assists were not bad. I remember when him and Bell came together, and everyone was excited about Reguilon because he was a speed demon, and he was a speed demon. He was, but I just think defensively, I think he could have been better. I think there was a few concerns for myself um, when he was on the other end of the pitch. But for now, I say yeah, go with it. Like I think if Reguilon plays, then you put maybe Porro as a fullback, and then if a doggy plays or Doji or Destiny or Doji plays, then maybe you put Emerson Royale on the other side. So it's like they complement. It's not both of them going at the same time. One kind of inverts and one goes because it's in their characteristics, it's in their DNA that they just more attacking players. It would be crazy for them just to sit in midfield or sit back and not attack and do what they do naturally. Because I think the doggy wants to go forward. That's his strength. So why not use that and then make um, one of the other fullbacks sit in? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got protection there. But I'll be interested to see how he does it, how it all happens. But what are your thoughts on this whole keeping Mason on in the backroom stuff? Are you for it or are you totally
Oh,
against?
I am against it. I think he needs a fresh new start. He needs to get his coaching badges somewhere else. He was there throughout the poison that was with Jose, through Nuno, and through he was there. People hard on Mason. No, Mason was there. Mason was there. He needs to go. He needs to go. I can guarantee you he has some influence with the players committee. Like he needs to go. But I put a meme out on Twitter. You know the black guy with the yellow jacket that's hiding behind the tree? You know that's Mason. That's Mason. He's waiting for his third audition for the Spurs job. He's like, okay, I'm waiting for you, Big Edge. One slip
Yeah,
up, I'm gonna
yeah.
get
Because
my third time a charm as coach.
I've seen a few memes about like, yeah, we sack a manager, goes back round to Mason, and then the new manager comes in. But I've seen like what I was trying to find out was what I read. Sorry, was that Big Ange actually wanted his back staff room to be from Celtic because he thought the step up in the Premier League is going to be different to like what he's experienced before because he's always started with no backroom staff. He's always just come into a club pretty much by himself, and that's the reason why he started slow. But I feel like he's got a feeling where he knows he can't start slow with his club. There's a bit more pressure. He needs to start a bit quicker.
But he doesn't.
Expectations a little bit more. And I think that's the reason why he wanted the backroom staff from Celtic. But apparently
Kennedy is
the
trying. Kennedy's still.
apparently they've held on to them. They actually paid. They're in the contract. They're looking to. I think they've signed new contracts as well, or something like that. And he's not able to get them for whatever reason. And basically, the day he sat down with Mason, like them two spoke, and apparently it was Ange that asked him to come back because Mason was looking at other clubs, looking at other options. And to be fair to Mason, he did call the board out saying they were directionless. I can't say the words. Like the club had no direction. They didn't know what they wanted. We need to get back to the philosophy. We need to get back to what we're known for. So he did call them out. There was more things he said, but I just can't remember quote for quote. So I just wonder if it was Ange trying to get Mason in just to understand like the handover a bit more, so he knows what's going on in the club, like who the troublemakers are, where the problems are, what the philosophy was, what he was trying to achieve. Because remember, Mason did play a back four, and he did play like a higher line, and obviously we did get slaughtered a couple of times, but if you've got a manager that was there previously, knew the players inside out, kind of understood what happened before, where it went wrong or what went right, or etc. etc. Um, I think that's why he probably called him back in. Whether it's the right move, that's debatable. I'm not saying what Anthony was right by calling him back, but I'm
Yeah.
just telling you what I read. Like I feel like a new move, a new backroom staff would have been much better for him. However, I do know that he did ask that guy from Leicester, I think, to be assistant coach. I forget the guy's name. Um, so it's not just Mason and going to be assistant coach. I think he's got the Leicester brother. I can't remember the guy's name, but I think he might be the assistant coach. But Mason's a part of the backroom staff. But I agree, like you kind of need new ideas. You want to kind of break free and just have your own identity. However, when I did watch there's something on Talksport I saw, and Big Ange was taking a coaching session. And he was mic'd up at Celtic, and he was just taking the actual training session. So that made me, because some coaches they don't take, or some managers they don't take the coaching sessions. Ange was fully on it, telling he had the academy boys versus the first team, and he was like, guys, first time, quicker. We don't stop. Better. No, come on, put him under pressure. Come on. Like he was just shouting, barking
Yeah.
instructions, which obviously you want to see from a coach. That's what a coach is meant to do. But I was just more happy that he was taking the actual coaching sessions. He was the one on the pitch, like commanding, running it, saying what he wanted. So it's not going to be Mason, with his cones out, telling the kids what to do. Like it's going to be a different voice, different energy, different training sessions, and that's why I'm a little bit optimistic that even though Mason's there, that there's going to be other voices in there. It's not going to be the same old same. He is a part of the problem. I do agree. He is a part of the problem. So I'm not shying away from that, but I'm just trying to be a little bit optimistic here because otherwise, it's all doom and gloom. We're not getting the signings. We're going for second-rate signings. Mason's hiding in the background. Nothing's going to change. But for me, you said 10th. That was your expectation. Mine is a bit higher because for me, you can't go a backward step. You got to at least get to 8th. For my expectations, 8th again. I'm not expecting 5th because 5th is Champions League. I know that's what the board want. There's more positions available to Champions League this season. I think if we were to get 8th again, it's still not a forward step, 8th again. But I just think the competition's so high, and because he's such a slow starter, I think those points in the Premier League are vital. Like how you start.
Yeah.
That's gonna help how you like. So for example, Conte, we had the best start under Conte in how many seasons? Like it was one of our best starts ever in the Premier League, and we still finished 8th. So if we're gonna have a slow start, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was our best finish. Who knows where we're gonna end up this season? Now we've got to worry about, as you said before, Aston Villa. You've got Brentford, Brighton, you've got Liverpool that are going to be back.
Yeah.
Arsenal do what Arsenal do. Chelsea definitely going to be back with their new manager, Poch. It's going to be
So,
interesting to see what happens when he comes back to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So we've just got rivalries all over. West Ham are going to be trying to do bits. They're going to be like up for it now after they won a cup. They're trying to make new signings. They actually trying to get their deals done early. So there's no easy game, is what I'm saying. There's no easy game. There's so many derbies that we have that, even technically Luton could be a new derby because it's technically
oh
near
yeah.
to London. So these people aren't talking about the newly promoted teams,
Yeah.
especially like you see Burnley. You
Burnley.
see man like Company, yeah. He's going to be a problem because guess what? He's playing high pressing football,
Yeah.
possession based football, but he's been doing it with Burnley for longer in Championship. So they would have been there together, playing together. So it'll be an interesting battle. All these teams. I think even the other team that got promoted. Who was the other team that got promoted as a whole? The other team that got promoted, they also play Pep style football. They all are kind of looking at Pep like he's the father, and this is the new style or the new way of playing. So it's going to be interesting to see whose Pep style comes up on top. I've spoken about Brighton already, but Brighton Pep rates the Zerbi. He said like he's changed the game. He's playing it
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
The way he builds that from the back is different to how and what they do without the ball as well. You saw that game when they played against Man City, what they were doing to them.
I
The
think,
only anomaly I would say is against Everton. Everton peppered them, you know.
yeah, I
Everton
think it
smashed
might
them. So
be one of the best Premier League seasons coming up this season, and
not
just
competitive by far.
yeah, and I think it's going to be very competitive. I think I just saw a blurb, and I want to make sure I'm correct. I think I just saw a blurb where Bernardo Silva has not made any decisions yet. Okay, but
Okay.
it looks like he might be going to Saudi Arabia. Um, yeah, so that's crazy. But even then, City will still come back next season, but it's gonna be loaded. It's gonna be, I mean, Liverpool's gonna be back. It's gonna be Chelsea. I mean, it's going to be highly competitive, and that's why I said at best eighth, worst 10th or 11th. I just think it's going to be. We're definitely going to be mid.
That's mad. Bernardo Silva is only 28, and if he goes to
Neves
that league
is,
already, it's crazy.
Neves is 26.
I
Yeah,
know. But you see, with Neves, at least like he's Wolves. You know what I'm saying? It's Wolves, so he's like quadrupling his salary. He's on 50 grand, wasn't he? So he goes to Saudi league. He's gonna be. Dude, I know he could have gone to Barcelona, but I think it's 10 times the amount. Like it's life
he's
changing.
75.
I I don't agree with it. Me personally, like I think footballers they get paid handsomely enough, and I think if he went to Barcelona, they would have at least compensated him with like a minimum of 100 grand. I reckon, like they pay up. But yeah, I'm surprised. Like if another player goes to that league, you might see the new Super League where these players start to slowly go over there, and you never know.
Yeah.
There might be a new. They might branch off. Champions League might be there still, but you
There's
might
there's
see.
a lot of factors. I'm gonna do a show next week about Saudi Arabia and why it can succeed or why it can fail. Um, um, Quotes from Sheriffin, the president of UEFA, brought some interesting quotes. But I was going to talk about because a lot of the stuff goes back to TV money, TV dollars,
Yeah,
and all
that's right.
these leagues. And right
Mm,
now, they had Ronaldo, and they were able to get subscriptions,
mm.
but it's not enough in regards to eyeballs to money package. Like people still had to find obscure ways to get the Saudi Arabia League. Now it's gonna be
Mm.
interesting with all these signings where they're gonna go. But it's what makes the Premier League so powerful because globally they have the best TV contract.
Two questions before you go on. Do you think that Chelsea, Ted Bowley, and Saudi Arabia that have a small stake in I'm probably going to get it wrong because I'm not hot on my finance. A
Yeah,
small stake in is it the investment group? Like a 5% share or something like that?
yeah,
Nothing significant, but
yeah.
it's something about their holdings or something like that. They've got a small stake in. Do you think that was discussed before? Like that was the plan all along where Bowley, because Bowley changed the game, bought Mudryk for 8 years,
Yeah,
spread the payment out, because people were thinking, how is he going to get around the FFP? And he just got all these youngsters on crazy long contracts, a bit like what they do for NFL. But he's basically done that for the Premier League. But then now, all of a sudden, I know a lot of these players were on the end of their contract, are at a certain age, and But do you think it was the plan all along for Bowley to kind of, get rid of his dead weight, or is it just that Bowley's an excellent businessman? Chelsea are great at doing what they do, and they're able to, because obviously they got rid of Havertz for 65 million, a great piece of business. Do you
Yeah,
think it's just Chelsea are just good at doing what they're doing, and other teams like Arsenal and Tottenham aren't good at selling players because we've got less desirable players? You know, if you look at, I don't
yeah.
know, um,
I
uh,
was,
Winks. You know, who wants to buy Winks? You know what I mean? He's not going to go to Saudi
oh,
League and pull up trees. He's not going to get eyeballed on the Saudi League.
but they were looking at Sonny. I would
He
say
was.
this. I would say this. Tom Bowley is a smart man. I think, you know, people. Yeah, the people gonna talk about, and there are people that's like Chelsea, they're cheating. Like City, they're cheating. Oh, they cheat. All these guys. Like there's a saying they say in America, and I do not condone cheating. But it says if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Trying to, as they say, they they found ways to find loopholes over
Hmm.
rules. Um, they haven't been punished yet because they found loopholes. Like they found loopholes. Um, I would say this that despite him going on a spending splurge, right, which his plays are going to pan out. Enzo Fernandez, people don't understand, was solid. Even before Chelsea and Chelsea, like literally their player of the year. Check Sofa score. Like so he's panned out for the money that they paid. He has ambition. He has ambition in regards of he is doing whatever it takes, okay, to put his club in a winning position, right? Our club lives on fear. We don't want to be over there. These clubs are going to be in trouble. I've been hearing that for years. PSG was supposed to be in trouble. Did not get in trouble. I'm like, okay, this is a joke. This is a joke. These clubs are going to do what they're going to do. You know why? Because money's coming in. Money is coming in. Unless they do something egregious, it is not enough to bring these clubs down. It is not enough to bring these clubs down. So going back to Todd Bowley right now, he's selling off all his dead weight. He's making all that money back. Big deals. You know, Kai Havertz, 65 million. Conte, 30, 40 million. Like, so it's, you know, it's smart of him. Smart of him. Now people question, you know, the Saudi team that he's dealing with, and how it relates to Chelsea. They're gonna investigate that, but it's almost like he's gonna walk out of court smiling, going like this because he beat you know how it
Tried to
is.
get me.
It's like mafia. If mafia men to walk out, they're like,
Yeah.
it's just like
They tried to get me,
they
but
try
they
to,
lost.
yeah, yeah, and so it's just you know, it,
And
it's
also, did you hear about what's it called? That Newcastle were in for what's his face, Ruben Neves as well, and they were trying to hijack the deal at the last moment from the Saudi league. But obviously, they've got Saudi owners, so it's like if that was to go through, then you're like, was that the plan all along? I'm just throwing out conspiracies here. Do you know what I mean?
man.
Do
There,
you,
there is a lot of, I'll say in general, there's a lot of conspiracies going on, but when it comes back to it, it comes down to money. That's why I will
it's
be
true. It's true.
summer's end. Before summer's end, I'm going to do an episode about the Super League. That
Yeah.
league, if you think it's not coming back, you're naive. There was so much money left on the table. TV money left at the table.
Mm.
Sponsorship left at the table. You don't think there's other clubs in the play? First of all, right now the other leagues are struggling. Florida
Mm.
Press, who's at the head of this,
Mm.
they are struggling because their TV deals in America sucks. mind you, they don't share the money with the other 19, 18 clubs. It's Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? They have a different system of how they get the TV money, but the contracts, right, that they're getting is not even close to the Premier League. The
Mm,
Premier League, all these other leagues, they're envious because the Premier League is when Burnley is going to get the same TV money as Real
mm,
Madrid.
mm.
That should tell you something, and that's
Yeah.
why they're mad, and that's why they want to create a Super League. Because once they have that Super League, they have an actual league where they're getting tons and tons of TV money.
You know what? It's funny, like you say that as well, because you would have thought there's all the monies in the Premier League. You'd have thought that we would be handpicking the best players from Europe. You know, any team, outside of that top two or top three out in Spain will be shopping, or in Germany would be shopping, or in Italy would be shopping. Where the leagues they've got no money, or Portugal, you think would be cherry picking their top talent to make. Because if all the money's here in the Premier League, now's the best time before all these kind of FFP rules kick in and stuff. You'd have thought, or like you said, Super League's coming. So you'd have thought that now's the time to strengthen, you know what I mean? To go hard, and be the best you can. But we come back to Tottenham because obviously it's a Tottenham stream. And it just seems like same old Spurs. Like we're not moving like a United, or I'm not saying that we should spend like 100 mil on a player. I've said it before, but like there's certain players that can get got because we have the money, like a 50, 60 mil, a young 50.
Ash,
Give man a young 50,
all I want is for Daniel Levy, if of course, for him to go. But if he wants to stay,
You
it's
can
just
stay.
for him.
So what? You
For him
stay. You got
to go
nowhere.
to the side. Okay, here's 150. We have a football mind. Let's get we get A Smith as sporting director. A Smith used to play the game. He used to scout. It says, okay, I'm going to set up a system, right? Kind of like Brighton. I'm going to set up a system, along with the academy, and we're going to come up with philosophy. Our DNA, everybody says, it's attacking football. All right. We apologize for the last three coaches. We're going to get attacking football. And now with this, we're going to have, it's almost similar to like Liverpool in the sense of, okay, this is a Tottenham player. This is what we're going to do to kind of have this structure of how a team is going to be built, right? A manifesto or ethos of how we're going to play,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be known to every player from
Mm-hmm.
from the keeper to our striker. This is how we play Tottenham football, right? And we're going to find players who are on the low end, cheap, who could play that philosophy, young, phenom talent in the academy who would be able to play that way, and then the players. Now I know Stell has says you want to produce players who are versatile, who can, and so I agree with that. You want to have players who are versatile that can play any type of system.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but you want to have that football guy. And as of today, I ask, who is that football guy on the board? Who is that football guy? We
So
have
this
none.
is what I was gonna get to, Mari, as well.
I haven't heard the name. I haven't heard any. Who is that football person? Right now, where is Daniel Levy getting his advice from? Where is he getting his 411 from?
The only thing I would say is
What's his intel?
caveat. The caveat then, Big Ange or Postacoglu, whatever you want to call him, Pastor Post, he's got to be the manager. Old school, like back in the day, there was no director of football, and it was left up for the manager to do everything. In terms of football, he's the one that gets it done, and then Levy's just the one that signs the checks. Because do remember, Scott Munn obviously doesn't start till 1st of July, apparently, and Ange technically doesn't start until the 1st of July either. So really, us fans need to hold our horses and wait till the 1st of July to kind of really start commenting on whether or not Levy's doing this or Levy's doing that, because officially that's when they start. And Levy's meant to move away from the footballing side because that was the whole point of bringing Scott Mann in. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? He was meant to be like the overseer of all football operations. And then, so technically they still got time to bring a director of football because Scott Mann hasn't started yet. We've got another, 6 days or so. What's today? The 21st? So another 9 days, another 9 days. I'm assuming it's 30 days in June. But
yeah,
so maybe we wait, and see what happens then. But from July, that leaves us 2 months to get business done. 2 months, because the window shuts on August the 31st
yeah,
August 31st at 11 p.m. UK time. So in those 8 weeks, that's when they need to be doing their business. Let's wait till then to see what happens. Do you know what I mean? As
yeah,
fans, ideally, we want it to happen before pre-season for the coach. So, we've already mentioned that, players get bedded in, etc., etc. But, you know, they haven't started officially. So we can't pass judgment on yet until those things are in place, and we'll see. We know the answer already. You know the answer. We know
yeah.
Levy's going to be dealing with the transfers. Do you know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean? Even if the next 9 days a director of football comes in, we still know that Levy is going to be looking at players. He's going to be in the mix. It's like, I think I heard it one day. Like, he said, "Oh, I love transfers. Like, he gets a buzz from it or something. Or he loves the smell of a deal. Like, he puts his leather gloves on, rubs his hands together. That's what I think he said that. I'm being honest, bro. Banter
Yeah,
aside, I think
yeah.
that's what he said.
When you saw
So
the Cambridge interview where there was like, you're hard to deal with negotiations. Just
listen,
he cracking that smile. You're like, yeah, stroke his ego. It's just, I'm like,
listen.
okay,
If we get two top centre backs, like everyone's been saying, if we get two top centre backs, three ideally, but if we get two top centre backs and attack him mid, yeah, and a keeper that everyone's happy with, that we can say, yeah, this is. Then I think people will leave Levy alone until obviously the game start. Until the game start, you know what I'm saying? Then it'd be back on again. But I think those are the key components: goalkeeper and defense, because we've leaked 60, how many goals? 3
so
goals last season. So that has to be addressed. And
yeah,
then a midfielder that's competent to passing into our front three, someone that can link the play, someone that's not just passing the ball, but they can score goals as well. They got a bit of everything. So yeah, until that happens, the jury will still be out. And as fans, I urge everyone to still keep the pressure on, not to be placid. Every little helps. Do you know what I'm saying? Because this board only responds to pressure. They only respond to pressure, man. When you leave them alone and you leave them to their own devices, this is when you start seeing funny stuff like 2 weeks, a month from now, we've only signed one player, or we still haven't signed the player from a month from now because we ain't put no pressure on them. Do you know what I mean? But I honestly expect to see movement before July. I'm not gonna lie to you. What about you? When do you expect to see the first signing? You're not
like
so hopeful.
like I said at the beginning, yeah, it's I have to see the shirt held up. It's for me. I have no expectations. I know Daniel Levy, and so for me, I it's more of, oh, if it happens, it happens. If I told you before July 1st how many signings, I'm gonna say the current number is zero because I'm not
Fair,
expecting anything.
fair.
Now with this signing of this keeper, maybe I could say one, but all I see is we've come to terms with the player, right? Supposedly they have a verbal agreement with the clubs, but Daniel Levy with verbal agreements, right? You know Harry Kane, right? We had a
Don't say that.
gentleman's agreement, right? Is a gentleman agreement
What a bullshit.
a verbal agreement? You know,
Yeah.
so it's I I don't I mean, and maybe it's a bit down, but it's just I know my club. The thing is, I know my club. It's just you know, it's it's tough.
It's for me. It's like I do expect one signing that is a goalkeeper before July, but I think we're gonna draw it out. I'm saying it because we've got 9 days left until July, so that gives them another whole week to draw out a transfer, play games, whatnot. And I'm not saying it's going to be the signing we want, but it might be a signing. So we might be underwhelmed by the signing. Um, so yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, it's going to be a great signing. It might, but I think we'll get one done. But if we don't, like I said, it's because they can use that excuse that officially the manager or coach hasn't started, and the I don't know what they call him. What they call Scott Munn, the operations of managers of football. I don't know, operative of football. He hasn't officially started either, and we still don't have a director of football technically. So they could still hide behind so many things as they do. They can find so many excuses or loopholes, as you would say before, to the fans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, and I think that's what they do. They kind of hold shields up. You know what I mean? So they don't get hit by stray bullets.
yeah. Well, we are coming to an end, fam. I posted a link where you can find Ashmatic and the boys. Ash, tell them about the channel, guys. You guys need to go to that channel. You got Marlon. I mean, those
Just
guys.
those two alone. Just those two alone. Worth it. I'm the third. I'm the third guy.
I mean, and then the transfer updates, the breakdown of the players. Asthmatics does a great job, and there's a reason why you see Asthmatic everywhere because everybody wants to know his input on these players and where this club is going. You guys know Marlon; he is on Tottenham Boy TV doing the streams, he's doing everything, and has also solid content. These guys give it to you straight. They give it to you straight about our club. So please go to the link. Ash, what is? I know you guys usually do the monthly show. Where can people
Yes,
find
we've
you?
got the monthly show coming up. In fact, the monthly show is coming up this Thursday, tomorrow. So tomorrow, catch the monthly show. We're going to do a monthly review on what's happened so far with Spurs.
Time?
Has taken that one. He's going to be hosting the show, asking the questions. We've got different guests on that show. We still
Time?
doing, huh?
You know what time the show is gonna start? The
Um, but guys, subscribe, put the notifications on. It's meant to start, if I'm right. I think Has wanted to start a little bit earlier, at 7:30, if I've
okay.
got it right. So, but either way, guys, subscribe, put a notification on, and and then you'll know when the the show will appear. It'll tell you a preview. We'll get a countdown when the show's starting. My show I do with Marlon is on a Tuesday, so we got a weekly show on a Tuesday, which is my show, where I kind of break down the players, where they've come from. What I'm trying to do now, I might change the content a little bit because what I was doing before was looking at their season, but I might just feature, because I do video analysis, I might just feature a match with them as opposed to show multiple matches, because some of the clips obviously favor and do bias to show the best clips of that player. But what I want to do is start finding some of the flaws of the player, showing that visually as well, because I talk about some of the flaws and
Mm-hmm.
some of the cons, but it'll be good to actually visually show it as well, to show like the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. My show is, and the thing with us three, we all have different opinions. Even though, like, we do agree on the whole Levy out situation, we might come at it from different angles. So it's never going to be the same result. I'm slightly different to what Marlon, even down to opinions on players and what transfers we need to go on. Marlon will grill me on the transfers that I bring up. But most of the players I bring up is the players that we've been linked with anyway. So it's not necessarily my choice. But yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So guys, please hit like, subscribe. Let's get these guys to 1,000K. Let's
Please.
get them before the season starts. Let's get these guys to 1,000K, man. These guys are solid as a rock, and you want during the season. They have a good post game show. They're one of the very few who have a immediate post game show that you want to just check out. And like I said, these guys, they give it to you real. As I was saying, on the mothership, Tottenham away, we've had our Friday show. I think we're gonna have one this Friday. I don't know, but check it out. But guys, please check. Please check. Yeah, 1,000K is a million. Yeah, let's get them a million subscribers. Uh, but Tottenham away too. You want to like and subscribe. You want to subscribe. It's changing to World Football Media, and we're gonna have a football way show tomorrow, later in the evening. So after you watch, Asthmatic and the boys break down the monthly show. Come check out football way. We're gonna talk about all the transfers. We're gonna talk about Saudi Arabia. We're gonna be talking about what's going on in the world of football. Almost like a week and a recap of what's going on. There'll be some short videos. There'll be some other things there. You probably see Ashmatic there because there's some wonderful ideas that we're gonna come in. We're gonna probably have our top 11 players World Cup of all time. So we're going to, we're going to do some very, very interesting things on that channel. Gold Cup, the Women's World Cup, just a lot of stuff. Some fun topics and some new guests. So just check it out. And so guys, stay encouraged as best as possible about this team. And like I said, let's temper those expectations. Let's give Big Ange a fair chance to succeed. How it looks like succeed, we don't know, but there has to be a start. But one thing that will always remain is Daniel Levy. A leopard cannot change his spots. Don't get disappointed. Don't get excited because we're used to it. It is what it is. And so, yeah, man. So we're gonna end this show with, I like to say, I get this from Brian, Levy out.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me, Mahri.
No doubt.
Big up, man. Love.
All right.